Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I don't know, Jess. I'm not a huge fan of Halloween decorations.
The
What?
worst.
Samesies.
It's so spooky in here.
No.
This was the best surprise to come into work this morning and see spooky little cobwebs everywhere.
We appreciate the work.
Pumpkins.
I didn't mean to surprise you. You're clearly eating, so
I
take
know,
a
I was
second.
in the middle of taking my banana bread.
But we walked in.
You
and
got her
there's-
mid-bite, Izzy.
Yeah,
I
I'm sorry. It's 9:02. I should have known better. There's this sort of hanging curtain of cobwebs with little candles hanging down.
Clearly designed by short people.
Clearly designed by short people. Roy almost burned his hair off this morning walking through there.
What I have left.
What do you have left? And these cobwebs sort of all over the microphones, they kind of look cool, but to me, they get tired after like 30 seconds.
Yeah, they get stuck on everything.
Yeah.
No, they don't. It's going to be fine. You'll survive. It's 2 weeks, and then Halloween's over.
That's
Yeah.
the other thing.
Yeah,
It's-
but
it's
these
too long.
decorations get in the way. They do. Cobwebs just get in the way in general.
They get
do.
stuck on your clothes. Watch this.
I know. I mean, it's annoying.
Don't let Willow walk through one of those. I mean, that's going to be a disaster.
Roy just tried to prove that the cobweb sticks to him and put his arm on it, and it didn't work.
didn't
I
work.
really wish that was on camera because it's not sticking to you, Roy. It's just not.
So
No, it's
Well,
not.
I, for one, Izzy, love what our production staff does, making everything themed throughout the year. We've got Valentine's Day, then we got 4th of July,
You're right.
and now we've got this, and then we got
Exactly.
that. Exactly. I love the production staff. Look at them pointing and cheering.
yes,
Thank
they
you so
are
much, guys.
shorter
We
than
love you
average.
guys.
I would just
And
say
we
be
can't be
taller.
mad at them for that.
Be taller. Maybe
I haven't
get a little
walked through that
step
area,
stool.
by the way.
Be mad at God for that.
But no one is blasting the production staff. We're just saying that Halloween
no.
Halloween decorations in general are annoying.
Sure,
They
I'm
are.
just
Yeah.
going out of my way to thank the production
Okay.
staff, not blast them.
That's
You're
a good-
blasting. You're not
that's a
blasting
good
them.
job
I'm just
by
going
you,
out and
Tone.
saying thank you, Carmen.
Who's blasting who?
Kristen, thank you out there.
That's
I'm
a
with
great
Tony.
question, Chris. It's a different show. You and I should do that show.
Get a
But
concussion on those candles.
speaking of blasts, Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, please.
We came in here, and I'm not going to lie. I did not watch the end. I did not watch the last 3 innings of the baseball game of the NLCS last night, and I didn't know Shohei Ohtani hit a home run with a couple men on.
That's
But
debatable.
Stu-
whether it
It's debatable whether or not it's a home run. For me, it was a foul ball. My personal record book, StugottsBook.com, by the way, buy it right now. In my personal record book, that was not a home run. I have watched the replay of that 1,000 times. I'm telling you it was a foul ball.
Foul.
And as it relates to Ohtani, do me a favor. Do it in a big spot. I'm saying, do it with nobody on. All this guy does is produce when guys are on base. Do it when no one's on.
No, he's right.
And do it before the game is out of reach. How about that? Not a home run.
Yeah, when the score is 0-0 and you're the only, there's nobody on base. That's a lot of pressure.
That's when they need
Do
a
it
home
with
run.
nobody on base,
Thank
Shohei.
you, Izzy. Wow.
Speaking of foul balls, he hit himself in the nuts with a swing. Came back right out.
Really, that's what
Yeah.
that was.
See,
But
you weren't watching the game.
Oh, no, I was. He started hitting himself in the hip.
In the
right?
hip.
And I was like, is that some sort of secret
I'm a
way
usually
to
jump
get
on
rid
my
of the-
heels kind of guy.
Yeah,
That's usually what
you
gets it
just
for
got to
me.
get motion going. But yeah, hitting himself in the hip was weird.
Jeremy is he appears to be a little bit upset with me. I'm not certain.
I'm
what's
not even
going on.
upset.
Right.
Just like I don't even know what to say in
Right.
response to that.
Mind
I'm
blown.
pretty sure this postseason, if I have the stats correct, he's 7 for 9 with runners in scoring position with 2 homers and 8 RBI. But he is 0 for 22 with no one on base.
That's what I'm saying. Do it with no one on base.
But-
He's a one-trick pony, this guy.
You
Right.
know how it's easy to get an RBI when dude's already standing on third. Do it with nobody on base, my dude.
All right. I don't even have a counter because this is just so counter to what logic says. But that's okay. I'm cool. Let's run with it.
You're a numbers guy.
Yeah, he's a choker without anyone on base.
You're
when
a numbers
it doesn't
guy.
matter.
What do the numbers
tweet
say,
that.
Jeremy?
The numbers
What
say
do the numbers say,
The numbers
Jeremy?
say that he's like possibly one of the most important hitters
The
in the
numbers
history
say,
of baseball.
as
He's-
Stugotz pointed out, with
Yep.
nobody on base, he does nothing.
Nothing. 0 for 22. I mean, listen, you get better pitches when guys are on base, too. They groove them in.
There you go.
They put them
Yeah?
right down the middle. Yeah, of course they do.
I feel like in modern baseball,
I mean,
and
jeez.
maybe this is not the case.
Just started watching baseball, or I mean,
Well, modern baseball,
God.
guys are going for strikeouts a little more often than they used to. Pitchers are hunting for strikeouts. And so with runners on base, yeah, they're trying not to bounce it, but I think they're kind of locking in, trying to strike you out. And now Shohei Ohtani showing he's 17 for his last 20, dating back to the regular season with runners in scoring position. That's the highest batting average over a 20-span at-bat in 50 years.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's fine. We
The-
don't have to acknowledge it.
the true test of a great hitter is what the hitter does when nobody's on base.
Yes.
Ask Tony Gwynn, ask Wade
Anybody will
Boggs,
tell you that.
Right.
Everybody will tell you that. Think of Jeremy. Picture this, okay? Where does Ohtani bat in the order?
Leadoff.
Exactly.
Yep.
Who's on base when you bat leadoff? Nobody.
Kike Hernandez
right?
batting ninth.
Nobody, unless it's the 12th inning.
Who's got it better than us?
When you've got nobody on base and it is the first inning, what's a better feeling for your team than getting a run?
Right. It
is
Shohei,
funny.
do it with nobody on base. When your team is up 1-0 in the NLCS, you feel like you've got this go. You're going to absolutely win this thing. You'll win the series. He hasn't done that yet. He's choking.
Everyone has been talking about whether or not the Dodgers should move him down in the order so that way Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman are on base for him to be able to do this. The flip side of the argument would be because he's batting leadoff and because these teams are so terrified of seeing him in that leadoff spot, guys like Tommy Edman, who's batting like 500 in this series against the Mets, and Kike Hernandez, who's been one of the greatest postseason performers ever for his whole career.
Crazy.
Which is unbelievable.
And he gave Shohei an opportunity last night to get up with the bases
And why
empty.
is he seeing pitches?
Wait, what's Kike doing with nobody on?
Oh, that's
Let
a
me
good
go
question.
find out.
It's the
question.
true measure of a great hitter. It's a good question, Chris.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! This conversation has Earl Reaver rolling over in his grave.
People think Stugotz is out of takes. This is top 10 of his career.
Thank you.
And it just came out, on a Thursday in October. Like, it's amazing
Yes.
that nobody really thought about that. A lot less pressure, a lot harder to score runs with nobody on base. Shohei, not doing it. Not the greatest ever.
I mean, when you're up 4-5-0 late in the game, and it's clear the Mets don't have any offense going because this series has been ridiculously bad. I know it's 2-1. Mets have a must-win today, but the games have been blowouts. You know, all three of the games have been blowouts. So it's just interesting because, you know, the Dodgers, Ohtani, to do it late in the game with no pressure and everyone praising because it was a moonshot. It went to the upper deck. It was foul, by the way, but it went to the upper deck. No, that's not what we want from the game's best player. We want him to do it in big spots. He has yet to do it. I'm not saying he's not going to do it. He has yet to do it. That's
To your
all I'm saying.
point, Stugotz, Kike Hernandez started the scoring in Game
you.
5 with a solo home run for
There
the
you go.
Dodgers. So clearly,
what I'm
the
talking about.
more important player for the Dodgers is the guy who's only playing because Miguel Rojas is hurt.
Kike this
Yes.
season with runners on, batting 206. With none on, batting 248. Way better.
Yeah,
You know who's very much like Shohei? Sabrina Ionescu.
Oh,
Do it
God.
when you're trailing.
that was so good.
It was a tie game. Come on, that's an easy bucket. No pressure. Tie game. You miss, you go to overtime.
Really?
You make your hero.
Wow. I mean, I like where you're going, but I don't agree.
Everybody's
I mean-
super impressed with Sabrina. It was a tie game. Zero pressure. Right, Jess? Wait. Are you done eating?
No.
Okay, then let's go to Jeremy again. Jeremy?
Me?
Sabrina Ionescu. Tie game.
It was from the logo, Izzy. It was so far from the rim.
Another
it was a great
reason,
shot.
another excuse, right? Oh, it was a deep shot. If she missed it, no big deal. It's the only shot she could get off because it's such a tough spot. Zero pressure. Not a big deal.
Zero pressure. Bullshit. They're up 2-1 now. That was a road game.
That's another thing. You're not down in the series. You're tied in the series.
Yeah, but it's a five-game series.
Everything
I mean-
about that shot screams tie.
He wants her to do it again in a bigger spot.
Yes.
I just looked up
Trailing.
I just looked up Shohei's full season stats, and
Yes.
he's been better with nobody on.
Yeah,
this
that's
year.
everyone's stats.
Yeah, but postseason.
Because when no one's on and there's nothing happening, there's not really a lot of pressure on you to do all that much. With runners in scoring position is where you tend to see guys slugging percentages and OPS go down. But with Shohei, every single moment he's come up with the opportunity to drive in runs, which is the goal in the postseason.
Every time you come up, there's
He's
an
been
opportunity to
spectacular.
drive yourself in. There's an opportunity to drive in a run.
No one's arguing he's been great all postseason, by the way. I'm not saying that. He's
Right.
hitting just over 200.
He has not been great.
Do it in
been better than
October.
Aaron Judge.
Do it later in
Well,
October.
yeah.
Those are the two takes.
I
And
mean-
the third one, do it with nobody on base.
Take-tober.
And
Here-
it's only October. Don't
Here's
forget that take.
Here's a hitter, Tony Gwynn. For his career with the bases empty, batted .328.
That's, I mean,
I don't know what the.
how do you
this-
argue with that?
We can't have two Stugotzes hosting the show. I'm sorry.
Why not?
This is absurd.
What do
I'm
you mean?
rattled.
What do you mean?
It's
just
us
too much.
versus you, okay? At least when it comes to baseball, it's us versus you. If you guys have a counter for why Shohei Ohtani sucks with the bases empty and how he shouldn't be doing better with the bases empty, please offer it.
I'm just really doing a deep dive into Shohei's stats this year. Man, he's
Yeah.
bad with an 0-2 count.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's batting 106 with an 0-2 count this year.
Yeah.
Which is when you need him to be at his best.
Jeremy, what are your thoughts there? With an 0-2 count,
I'm
he's
more
bad,
perplexed.
Jeremy. He's
I'm
bad
more-
with an
I'm-
0-2 count.
I am more
is.
perplexed today
He's overrated.
at
0-2
this
count.
response to Shohei Ohtani doing what he's doing than I was when we downplayed that Pete Alonso home run, which, by the way, at the moment,
I
still
forgot
one of the
about that.
biggest homers in Mets history.
I forgot about that.
On the other side of it, with a 2-0 count, he's batting .583.
Yeah, when it's easy.
This is how stats work.
Easier pitches.
Yeah.
I'm going to lose my mind.
How many of those 2-0 counts did they have guys on base? Talk about easy.
Yeah.
That's pretty. They don't have that detailed.
All right. So I'm really joking about the Sabrina Ionescu part because that was absolutely
That's disappointing.
a baller shot right there. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a little bit more difficult when you're down one. But at that spot, and she hadn't even had a great game. I think she scored most of her points in the second half, but hadn't had a great game. And then she just pulls up from the logo to win a WNBA Finals game. Like, if that happened in an NBA Finals game, we wouldn't have gotten to Shohei.
Probably not. It happened in a Western Conference final game, I think, with Damian Lillard, didn't it?
It wasn't the conference
Western
finals.
Conference
It was
semifinals.
a semi,
yeah, to
yeah.
get them to the Western Conference finals. It's all we talked about the next day. So,
Right, and now here we are with the Liberty, and the Liberty is like they're supposed to win this. It was supposed to be them or aces again, and they get to the finals against Minnesota, and then they're down 15 in the second half in a series that's tied 1-1. It looks scary there for a second, and yet this woman who, by the way, she's the one who competed with Steph Curry in that three-point contest in the NBA All-Star Weekend, and it feels like, if you watch the Liberty, it's mostly Brianna Stewart just kind of navigating everything, but man, when they need a bucket, they go to Sabrina, and I don't think it gets any better than that. And I think she was talking smack because she was the all WNBA second team. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm really happy that she had this moment because she's a player that I think has improved so much year over year, and especially this year is having such a great season. So I'm really glad that she had that. It was 28 feet. That was the distance of the three-point shot in that game. And like you said, the Liberty started out the game a little slow. They had a lot of really rough turnovers to start and looked like they were not really comfortable at all playing, but came back and won the game pretty much on that shot. And I mean, we were very close to this going to another overtime, which would have been crazy. But I'm kind of hoping now that the Lynx win the next game because A, I think their home fans deserve to see a finals win at home, but B, I really want this to go to 5 games because I think the Liberty winning it at Barclays Center in front of all their fans would be pretty awesome. But I'm not rooting for the Liberty. I'm kind of agnostic when it comes to this series. I'm not a fan of either team really, but I will claim victory if the Liberty win. Just putting that out there because
How does that work?
because I lived in New York, so I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah.
So then why don't you just root for them instead of just being agnostic?
Because I also like Kayla McBride, so
So choose a side though.
seems like a win-win for you.
it is a win-win for
Yeah.
me. Funny how that
Classic
works.
Smitty.
Learn from the best.
I want this thing to go 5 games because I want Holly Rowe to just put on a display of sideline reporting as long as she possibly can. Like this, I don't know if it's. let me rephrase. It's definitely not just because of the access, because Holly Rowe is phenomenal at what she does. But when you add the access, I am enamored by these halftime interviews. Like, she gets, like, there's one on
you've done them.
Well, not like this. These halftime interviews, and there's one on the screen right now where she's talking to Sabrina Ionescu, and it starts at the edge of the court, and then they're just going all the way to the locker room. It's a walk and talk. You don't really care about what's in front of you. I'm sure there's people like elbowing fans out of the way and moving. And like, it's not just that you've got to watch where you're going. You got to think about the questions. You got to listen to what the player is telling you. But yesterday, and I forget who she was interviewing, yesterday, she walked all the way back with this player, asked a final question, immediately looks dead in the camera, and does an injury report. Like, absolutely flawless.
Incredible.
Like, jumping off of a horse and doing, like, a breakdancing routine. Like, just amazing stuff. And I want her to have as many games on the national spotlight as possible.
How about the camera person walking backwards?
Amazing.
Great job,
and
yeah.
the person holding the light.
How about the grip?
Yep.
The grip, he's back there, he's coiling.
Oh, that's the
Backwards.
grip. I started
he's
looking at the
probably
grip on
behind
the
the
microphone. That you're talking about.
That's what I was looking at.
You don't give enough credit to grips.
No, these grips, they really know what they're doing there. But yeah, Holly Rowe is amazing. And I've always, and I don't know if I've said this on this show, but I don't know how they don't have a theme song for Holly Rowe. Do you know the Florida-Georgia line, "This is how we roll"?
This is
Holly Rowe. And you just do a Holly Rowe.
I like it.
Yeti, get on it.
Yeah, we're
Please,
streeter. We failed to talk about something that happened in Game 2, which was Pablo Torre was
Oh,
on
my
the
goodness.
sideline of the game.
I was waiting
at
for that
the
to happen.
Liberty game, and so we're gonna pull up that
How's this work?
photo in a
What do you mean
minute.
sideline? He was sitting courtside?
Courtside,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
sorry,
It's a
I
very
don't-
Pablo thing.
Is
Talk
Pablo
about
paying
sideline
for
reporters.
tickets here? What's going on here?
He's not paying for
I
anything.
think he's friends with Stugotz.
What
'Cause
is
enough
this
of him.
stance? He looks like a superhero who just came in to tell you how to set the table.
What is he
like?
wearing?
He looks absolutely ridiculous in this stance.
He looks like a school principal.
Yes, a very proud school principal. Like he's there
dad
at the,
AF
at the
right
pep
now.
rally celebrating the
No,
state
like
champs.
his high school team just won the state championship, and he's there like, girls, I can't wait to see you in third period tomorrow.
Do we know what play happened right before this? Because
Yeah, why is he standing like that?
yeah,
He's
like
Pablo.
He's kind of doing like a superhero pose right now with his hands, his knuckles
his
on his
fists.
hips.
He's closed fist on his hips, like chest, as much as you can call that a
Why is his
chest,
shirt tucked in?
protruding.
Oh, damn.
Everybody else is celebrating as if a player had gotten an and one, and he's just proudly sticking out his chest.
They're clearly cheering for a player, and Pablo's acting as if the applause is for him.
Well, I'm not gonna so much crush the stance here, but the face. He's making like that ope face that like I make when I'm kind of like smirking at someone that I'm trying to get past. I'm like, oh, excuse me, and then I kind of like do that flat smile thing.
Yes.
It's like that awkward smile that's not a real smile. That's
And
what
not to
I'm gonna
nitpick,
crush
but
him
is he
for.
going a little too far with the mustache now? It's like off the edge. Have we
Yeah.
talked about this?
Yeah.
Because it looks like he could like stick his tongue out and like maybe tie the edge of his mustache into a braid if he had those types of skills. It's going too long.
pretty
He's got to trim
impressive.
that.
He's got a little tummy. I mean,
I think he's standing that way because he knew.
I'm no one to talk.
A little tummy.
If that's a tummy, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, come on. What are we
I don't
doing?
know what I'm
I
doing.
take his tummy. You're right. I apologize, Pablo.
It's a little tummy to match his little chest.
Oh, damn, man. What are you doing?
He's standing like that because he knows somebody is going to take a picture of him and he's just bragging about his seats. That is him standing there
course.
saying, look at me, I'm at the front row of a WNBA Finals game.
Yes.
But doing it while he's smiling for some reason.
That is exactly what is happening there. Take it from someone who would do something like that. That is what Pablo Torre is doing.
You
He
think
is-
that's his cousin next to him invited him to the game?
I have no idea. I do think that Pablo, had he not made it in sports media, probably would have been a principal, right? A school principal.
He wouldn't have been a principal. He would have been a headmaster.
Oh, a headmaster. You're right. At a
Headmaster,
private
wow.
school. Yes. Right.
He would talk down to the students,
Yes.
not to them.
Exactly. Like he does to us.
Guys, I had an odd morning, and I want to know how odd it was.
I'm
And
sorry. What
Ooh,
happened?
tell me.
So, what's the line on? All right, so I woke up around 4:30. My alarm doesn't go off till like I don't need to get out of bed till like 6:30. Alarm usually goes off around 6. 4:30, I wake up, and I'm like, this is like I needed to shower in the morning because I had bowling last night. Sometimes I shower at night, so it just depends on the day whether I need to shower in the morning. And this was a morning where I needed to shower, so I'm like, it's 4:30. I think I want to shower right now, brush my teeth, and then hop back into bed for like an hour and a half.
Wake up your wife.
And so I did that.
What?
At like 4:30 this morning, I showered, I brushed my teeth, and then I woke up at like 6, and I'm like, do I need to brush my teeth again? I was like morning breath, and I still kind of tasted the toothpaste, so I didn't brush my teeth again.
This is the oddity of your morning. This is what you've been sitting
No,
driving.
that is an odd
you were
morning,
driving
though.
to work this morning and being like, man, I went home last night. I was a little sweaty from bowling, but not too sweaty.
No,
so I
this is
decided
not the
to
odd
just
part.
go to bed.
The 4:30 shower is the odd part.
And
Like,
then, so how do you decide? You said you still tasted a little bit of toothpaste.
I woke up to pee at 4:30, and I'm like peeing, and I'm like, should I shower now or go back to sleep and shower at 6?
Right.
And so I showered,
Yeah.
which is honestly not that strange. My wife like didn't even like notice it really.
Well, she was sleeping.
Right, but the shower's like in them.
So you actually fell back asleep after
Oh,
you
yeah.
showered?
After the shower.
That's impossible.
That's the confusing
Impossible.
part
Right,
to me.
yeah.
You are so skilled.
Fully nude.
Baby.
I mean, what do you
I
want?
believe you.
Dude.
Once you get out of the shower, what
else
am I
do
gonna
you
put
shower?
like I just
I mean,
fully
just
nude?
dry off first.
Yeah, dried off. Yes, I did dry off.
Use the sheets.
Well, the question is,
Use the
what's the amount of time to go back to sleep where you have to brush your teeth again?
Here's the
That's
rule
the
that I
question.
live by. If you have to ask whether or not you should brush your teeth again, you should brush your teeth again.
I brushed them at 4:30. I did
You
not
were
brush them
asking
again.
yourself for a reason,
Roy,
Chris.
smell my breath.
No.
I think it's fine.
Are you a coffee drinker?
No.
Okay. Because what I was going to say is you can go ahead and drink your coffee and then brush your teeth again because that's kind of helpful for your teeth. But if you're not a coffee drinker, that doesn't matter. To me, I feel like you can feel it in the heat of your breath.
I
Like,
felt the toothpaste still. If I felt sleepy, that sleepy taste, I would have brushed again. But I woke up and I still had a little mintiness going on there. So I'm like, you know what?
That would last a day?
We're good.
you woke up. Did you go through the whole waking up process again where you sat there for like half an hour and you're just like, whew, okay, now I'm awake? Or did you wake up and be like, wow, I don't have to shower. I don't have to brush my teeth. This is amazing. I'm awake.
It was a nice snooze of I don't have to get up for the shower now. Like I'm clean, so I can just snooze a little, like one extra snooze.
For those who don't know, young Chris Cody rather, would go wake up and then lay down in this bathtub to
Wow,
get a
you're really-
little bit extra rest.
Quite the callback.
So I
Yes,
was
in high school, in the
How do you
high
play, Chris?
in high school, I had been known to just lay down in the bathtub,
which
late
is
in
the
bath.
grossest
Late
thing in the world
shower,
to me
not a
because
bath.
I hate drains. I hate shower drains, the most disgusting thing in the world. Saltburn is one of the grossest movies of all time.
No, it's not.
But you being able, more crazy skill than just like getting up and being able to lay down in your shower is getting back to sleep after the shower.
I'm tired, guys. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. Like this is not. It's very easy for me to go back to
But
sleep.
the shower wakes you up, does it
Right.
not? Do you like you're in that shower and you're like eyes closed, like no water gets in your eyes. And then you just shut them right back when you get to the bed.
I manage. I pulled it off, guys.
But it is supposed to be something that gets your day started, not put you back to sleep. I mean,
Not for me. I just need to get clean.
okay, it's your shower.
I feel like if you really wanted to just get rid of a lot of the morning procedures and get a little extra sleep, just keep a little toothpaste by the bed, right? Just put some whenever you wake up. Just put some on the teeth, and when you wake up, you're just like,
No bad ideas.
I still feel the toothpaste. Don't have to brush my teeth. Snooze for another 10 minutes.
Well, thanks for nothing, because I haven't gotten an answer to my question on whether this is okay. You
I
guys-
think you're good.
everyone's
You're
just everyone's just kind of
You're
staring
good.
at me and not
We're just
saying
waiting for
whether
Jeremy to smell your
Should
breath.
I have brushed my teeth again?
Yes, I told
Okay.
you.
I
If
don't
you have
think
to
it
ask
hurts.
yourself, then you have to brush.
But I
mean,
tasted the toothpaste.
It's not a bad thing to brush your teeth again, but also this is essentially like, does everyone brush their teeth after taking a nap? Because
No,
that's
of
essentially
course
what you
not.
A little
did.
bit of mouthwash.
So then
for
you're
you.
good.
I think you're overthinking it. I think
Listerine.
it's fine.
Thank
But
you.
it also doesn't hurt to just do it.
If you got a hot mouth, you got to brush your teeth.
Health.
We've got Dianna Russini. She's a senior NFL writer for The Athletic. She's got a podcast, Scoop City, which I hear is very popular. She was with us earlier this week from the owners' meetings. A lot of good information coming out of there. She's loaded with good information. But Dianna, I have to start you here because Chris ended the last segment, Chris Cody did, with a very difficult question that nobody had a really solid answer to.
she's going to love this.
So I'm
by
going
the
to have
way.
him
Yes.
set it up for you and see what you think here.
Diane, I usually wake up around 6 a.m. to get out of bed 6:30. I had to shower this morning, had bowling last night. You know the routine. You got to just shower in the morning. So I wake up at 4:30.
No, pause. Is that the routine, Dianna? You get a little sweaty at bowling, so you wait till the next morning to shower?
I wasn't sure if he said bowling, but he said bowling, right? Like,
He did.
First of all, I don't know how sweaty you're getting at bowling, Izzy. I wouldn't say I was sweating at bowling.
All right.
Well, you use one of those little fans right over where collect the ball. That
I do
helps
put my
you
hand
with.
there. I do put my hand there.
It feels
You're wearing
nice.
those shoes,
It does,
though.
yeah.
You're wearing those shoes, though.
It's an underrated feeling.
What do the
Yeah.
shoes have to do with me sweating?
Finish your
Because everybody
story,
else
though.
has
Let
worn
Dianna
those
rule on
shoes.
this.
You don't think I have my own shoes, Roy? Come on.
So Dirty Chris.
The question is, do I think it's disgusting that you went to bed after bowling at a public place where people are touching a lot of bowling balls?
Oh, enough.
That's
with
the
all
first
that.
question.
Oh,
That's-
yeah, Izzy, you shower every single time you go home.
Everyone slow down. Yes, that is the first question, Dianna. Please answer that question. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's pretty disgusting that you didn't take a shower last night before you got in your bed.
You guys are all just...
Here's part 2 then.
Now finish the story. Chris.
Okay, so I wake up at 4:30, and I'm like, okay, I got to get up at 6, so I get up to pee, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get this out of the way. I'm going to shower at 4:30. I'm going to brush my teeth, and then I got done around 4:45, get back into bed. I got like an hour 15 to go back to sleep. So I wake up at like 6. The question is, do I have to brush my teeth again? I can still taste the toothpaste from an hour and 15 minutes ago.
And you would say that rest that you got after the shower, did you get into a good deep REM sleep?
Delightful sleep, I'd say.
Yeah.
A delightful, then definitely.
But I tasted
your mouth
the
is,
toothpaste.
just think about it. Your mouth is closed probably. Well, it
My
depends
mouth
on how you
breather.
sleep.
No, I'm like,
I told you about that. I told you all you got to do is tell your body not today and breathe through your nose, and then you do it. You did it for a while, and then you stopped.
but I'm like
Why?
this.
I guess I think of I just flew back from Atlanta, and it was only a 2-hour flight.
That's a great call.
If that. And the guy next to me was pleasant and nice, and I was talking to him when we took off, and he fell asleep, and he finished the conversation with me when we landed, and his breath stunk, and it was only a quick flight, and it wasn't a stink like an Italian hero or like a tuna sandwich.
Right.
It was that sleep breath. Everyone knows that sleep breath.
Of course.
Yes.
Yes.
That is such a great call, Dianna. Now, most of the times it's on red eye, but there have been other times. Man, I am sweating today. There's been other times.
You should go shower right now. It's disgusting. You're gross. How do you even come here while you're sweating?
You get off a plane, Dianna, and you're walking toward the front if you don't sit in the front like Dan, and you just get whiffs of bad breath smell, and it's just like, yeah, this answers the question, I think, officially, Chris. You absolutely should have brushed your teeth.
Yeah, it's the sleep breath. Just a little mouthwash, swish it around a little bit. So you didn't. You just got up, started your day.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Roy smelled my breath. He said it's fine.
I did not.
So what were you doing then?
Just
Bet you
sitting
that
here
Mike stinks.
looking at Ohtani stats.
The last time we left you were at the owners'
You okay?
meeting. No, I don't know what happened there. I'm laughing at Chris. It's amazing that you woke up. Really, the amazing part of all of this is that you took a shower at 4:30 and went back to bed.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That is because that is impossible. Okay.
I did it.
But I want to talk to Dianna because the last time we left her, she was at the NFL owners' meetings. Her real job got in the way, and she had to leave us. And so I am wondering how this Davante Adams trade came to fruition here.
Yeah, I feel like the last few appearances have been a bit of a train wreck here. I was a little hesitant to hopping back on because you guys have now become the show that I am on when news is breaking. So I'm on. I don't want to deal with news today. Like I just need like a couple hours.
Yeah.
So please, no jokes, guys. Just like keep me alert. Right, I'm focused on the camera. I'm not gonna look at my phone.
Okay.
But just if it's serious, break in and don't mess with me because I'm just not in a good state.
I was going to have Chris hit the sounder, but your face really looks like you're in a bad state. Like you would fall apart if you heard it again.
Well, Izzy, you know what it was? I went back and watched when I was on with you guys because in the moment, I remember thinking, oh, that felt really urgent. I just told them that the Davante Adams trade happened. I was able to give them some intel that Davante was in the building, and I was working in real time. But if you go back and look at that video, I look like I'm freaked out, like someone has a gun to my head. My eyes are bigger than a deer in the headlights. And it's just my self-awareness is so off because I didn't think I sounded or looked like that, but it was a horrible appearance. I felt so bad. I reached out to everyone on the show to apologize because it was so insane, but there was a lot going on. Izzy, I was in the lobby of the hotel where all the owners were coming in. The Devontae Adams story breaks. Woody Johnson's in there. It was very chaotic, and I did not carry it well.
It was the face of a reporter, Dianna. If I were to ever imagine the face of a panicked reporter, it was that. You were just doing your job.
But I didn't know I worked like that. That's why I'm upset about it. I thought I was like a duck and my legs were moving really quick, but I'm smooth. Guess what I'm not? I am not smooth. I'm just a tornado. I'm literally a Tasmanian devil. I got my batteries, my wires, my cell phone, but then just my face in general looks freaked out. So I'm going to work on that and just try to do a better job of faking it maybe. Because look, it's an adrenaline rush. And especially when you can't work because you're doing another job, which is this awesome show, I kept getting stressed that I was going to get beat on little nuggets that were happening in that moment with the Devontae Adams trade. So now to your question, Stu, he's in New York. Everyone seems happy. Aaron Rodgers gets his guy. And Woody was not going to mess this up. He was not going to let this deal fall through, which is why when I got the tip on Monday night that it was happening for real and Devontae was getting on a plane, I thought it was just so wild how automatic this thing was. Even though the Steelers and the Saints were in on it, the Bills were lurking, the Jets wanted to make sure they were going to give Aaron everything he absolutely wanted. And Woody confirmed it.
Which owner has the worst breath?
Great question.
Thank you.
God, it is such a good question because I did go up to a lot of them, and you worry about yourself first, right? Because in that situation, I try not to remember that the person I'm talking to is worth, I don't know, $20 billion in most cases. And I try to treat them as human as possible. So I've actually done that in my mind where how can I humanize them? And I just imagine them like going to the bathroom or doing something that I do, like parallel parking, like do something that I do, which we know that's not what they're doing. They have drivers and private jets,
but it's David Tepper.
So David Tepper did not. He was not there. Actually, he was not there. I was looking for him. I like talking to him. He's actually. I've enjoyed my interactions with David and Nicole Tepper there. Nicole Tepper especially is awesome. If the question was who would you want to hang out with of the owners, it would be Nicole Tepper. No one even comes close. So I don't know. I mean, I talked to Jerry and Jerry just kind of smells like old man.
Right.
You know, like not in a bad way.
Sure.
Just like.
There's no good way to smell like old man, Dianna.
It's like what your grandpa smells like. Like it's just.
Right. We know the smell.
Like you're like, oh, I know that smell.
Like,
they had their
are you
vitamins.
wearing a diaper?
They definitely had their medication. Like, you know, like there was definitely that scent, but otherwise everything else about him is young in terms of how he carries himself. So I would look, I was an inch from Woody. I got stuck in Izzy, you know this, when you're in the scrum of reporters and the positioning of where you are is important,
Very important.
Not for the content, but just for your overall like comfort. Like I'm always the jerk that gets stuck like on one knee, like holding it up. Just it's so uncomfortable.
I'm a big sweater, Dianna. I don't know if you can see me right now, but if I put my hands up in the air,
it
looks like it looks like I've been playing basketball all day.
Gross.
I was always in a position where I was holding my arm up and you could see my sweat stain, or I'm just dripping sweat from my forehead because I'm like nervous that I'm in the middle of this pack.
Yes, and then of course the camera from the other networks is, it's on you, right? So if you're not doing TV work, it's like, of course, I'm in the shot with my armpits up with a waterfall. And look, I'm sure this isn't breaking news to you guys, but I've never been in a scrum that doesn't stink. So someone smells, which, sports reporters working hard, stress, drinking too much coffee, probably not exercising. There's a lot of issues there. But I worry about it a lot. Because I've been around so many stinky reporters that I could not imagine if that was me. And the thing is, it probably has been me at one point. So I I just think we've come full circle on just body odor and hygiene here. Because I can tell you those scrums, that someone smells bad.
Philadelphia. Oh, no, it did not happen.
The world
What?
of the NFL.
No,
Actual, not joking,
no,
breaking news
no,
per
no.
Adam Schefter.
We can't do this to her.
The Tennessee Titans are granting the request of former Pro Bowl safety Jamal Adams for his release. According to Schefter, he is healthy and looking forward to his next opportunity. Back to you, Diana.
Wait, why did you say the why did you say the Philadelphia Eagles?
I said the Tennessee Titans, did I not?
Yeah. Were you
Did someone say Eagles?
I was headed towards a Philadelphia Eagles
Okay,
question.
thank God.
That's what I heard.
They
I heard
broke
Eagles,
in
and
with a
that's
Tennessee
why
Titans.
you sounded right.
I'm
But the
good.
Titan Jamal, that's not
Thought
a
I
big
got it
enough
wrong.
story for you. You're good, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
there.
Diana, no. I have to apologize. I
Why?
have to apologize because I was just looking at her face the whole time.
We scared her.
And she was absolutely devastated.
She's okay
And
with
like
it.
those, Diana, don't watch this show back because those 30 seconds where you picked up your phone and you're like listening because you heard Eagles and you thought it was that serious, I'm telling you, it was the same look that you had on your face from a few days ago.
The Philly thing got me, and it's not because I think Philly's doing anything big right now. It's not like I don't know anything.
Right.
It was just more, oh
Bless
God,
you.
here we go. Knowing that they've got a big game, Saquon Barkley back up against the Giants, going home. And there's so much drama. I mean, this isn't happening from what I can gather, but I thought maybe that was going to be a Nick Sirianni firing. Or
I
something.
was wondering, your husband as an Eagles fan, does he side with Sirianni because I do, or does he side with the fans who want to fire Nick Sirianni?
Yeah, he's so beyond Nick Sirianni at this point.
Really?
But Kev does this thing where, like, he tries to be rational with me because I think he wants to show me that he is a smart fan and he is just a normal human being. So he like fights the demon of the lunacy. So he'll be like, God, what a clown, man! Like we need better. We need a guy in there. But then I'll look at him watching the YouTube things, and he'll watch everything Sirianni's doing and all the clips. And I think he's the dude that's commenting like, keep him. He knows what he's doing. I mean, Nick Sirianni kind of represents a lot of Philly in the best and worst ways, right?
Yes.
So much emotion, so much passion, but not great.
Yeah, but great, because he's the only coach in Eagles history that has taken his team to the playoffs his first 3 seasons, and they were a play away from winning the Super Bowl.
Look at the roster.
I understand that, but he did it. He was the coach. He was the guy in charge.
No, I don't have anything against Nick Sirianni. And what you just laid out is why Howie Roseman did not fire him.
Yes.
Right? Because of how do you fire a guy that's been to the playoffs that many times?
You can't.
You can't.
Right.
He's doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
But my problem with what he's doing is he is supposed to represent this organization. He is the CEO. They're the ones who use that. I don't even call him that. They call him the CEO because that was the job that they changed him to. They took him off play calling to make him that. You want your CEO barking at fans, talking trash to the players? There is no way Jeffrey Lurie likes that. There is no way. I don't care how open-minded Eagles fans are because of their passion. There's just no way that's good, which is why Nick Sirianni apologized the next day.
Diane, I think we can all agree. The moment he cut his hair in a bit of a desperation, I didn't like that. I thought that was a sign of weakness. He should have kept the hair because it feels like, hey, I need to change things up. I need to change the swag a little bit. So let me go with the buzz cut and see if that changes things. They won, obviously, against a terrible Cleveland Browns team, but I thought that was a sign of weakness.
Yeah, I don't know if swag was the word I used when I saw it. I definitely went more, oh, God.
I think
Things are so bad.
Tony, I think you're playing the
we
results
will-
there.
Jess, Jess, how many times have you done that?
Not a lot.
Desperation haircut?
Oh,
Not
Buzz cut?
honestly, not a lot. But I was gonna say that the opposite of that with Eberflus growing the beard and growing out the hair. Everyone thought it looked really good, and then they played pretty bad their first couple games, and everyone's like, "That beard's stupid." And now the beard looks hot again. So you're playing the results.
yeah,
now.
the glow up, even like Ulbrich, like he's another one. Like I'm like, he's too put together to be a head coach. Like he's too clean.
And Dayball, he looks great.
Diana, I think it's consensus. There is nothing you can do to Nick Sirianni to make him look like a CEO. So they should probably lose the title or lose the coach.
Yeah, I don't know how this season's gonna shape up, but I don't think anyone behind the scenes is going, yes, this is what we want to be about. I can tell you though, they're calmer there than we are about them, which Philly's pretty uptight about what people say about them. My co-host of Scoop City, Chase Daniel, was in Philly for a year, and he was telling me that Philly locker room has rabbit ears like no other team he's ever been on. And he's played on 7 different teams. He's like, they listen to everything everyone says about them. That's just like the culture, because it's, how could you ignore it in Philly, right? It's so loud there. Everything they do is loud. It's the only city that could win a game against the Browns. And on Monday, WIP is screaming about how bad they are. And granted, I know it wasn't the best game for Philly, but the demands are high there, and the bar is high. But they know what's up, and they seem to be kind of riding the ship. So we'll see how they do against the Giants.
I have to think this part of Sirianni you actually respect and you agree with it, because I could see you doing something similar. How'd you feel about him after the game using his kid as a shield from the media?
It's such a Stugotz move. It was so Stugotz. Like, I am going to use my beautiful children, as shields. And I feel like you think I can relate to it because you think I would use my children to somehow further myself in my career.
I have no doubt. Yes.
No, I probably should do a better job with that. I put my children in danger to get the job, as we know, which, by the way, for those that have followed the fire issues that I've had in my house with my son microwaving my wallet and Joey thinking it's his birthday every day, I almost sent in a video. It was Joey's actual birthday.
Oh, my God.
On Friday, and the kid just the whole time during the song. So all that practice that he's had blowing out candles in our house, I guess it's panned out.
Happy birthday to Joey, Diana.
Yeah,
Tell him,
birthday,
because
Joey.
every day is his birthday. She's a senior NFL writer for The Athletic. The podcast is Scoop City. I hope this ride down the lazy river was a little more calming than the last time we were on the show. I know you had the one little scare, but there's occasional falls on a lazy river, so...
I credit you. I'm just glad you're here today. For some reason, when it's Dan and it doesn't work. So
right,
we'll see what happens on Tuesday. I'll see you guys next week.
All right, Dan will be back.
I'll try to kick him out.
I need meds. That's what I need.
Dan, what's that in your hand?
That was very natural, Mike, but I'm excited about this. It is a coloring book meant to celebrate our 20-year anniversary. We've always prided ourselves around here on having a different artistic look, and I like some of the pictures here. There is Roy and Mike as Riggs and Lethal. What is it? Thank you.
Actually, we can't use them to sell this book, so don't say their names.
Okay, I bleep that all out. I also have a meme here falling in American.
Can't say that either.
Greg Cody is wearing a...
that you can say.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
maybe.
Is
that the LSU one or no?
Wait, what is he wearing?
He's wearing that Zar...
Can't say that.
Can't
Strike
say
that from the
either.
record.
Okay.
Bleep
There
that
is
too.
Stugotz, his guy...
You cannot say
you
his
can't
name
say
most
that.
certainly.
No.
That
Mayor
book-
of Flavortown, Dan.
That book is so much thicker than Stugotz's book.
LeBatardAF.com. It's a lot of fun. I urge you to check it out.
A little teaser. The Philly fake out.
What happened there?
That's right. It's time for Thursday Thunder.
What day is it?
And it's brought to you
Where
by
are
What
we?
day
DraftKings.
is it? Yeah.
Stay tuned because you're going to hear about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Thursday Thunder, of course. Tony, what do we got?
All right, guys, we've got a barn burner tonight in the NFL. Denver Broncos and the New Orleans Saints. A revenge game for Sean Payton.
Yeah.
And Will Lutz, too, by the
Oh,
way.
my God. Will
Just
Lutz.
a little double revenge game on a Thursday. We're going to go a little wacky here, okay? Usually we pick the game. Usually we pick the star players. We're going to go the opposite, all right? We're going to go with guys that maybe one guy you've definitely heard of, but other guys you maybe have not heard of to do good because the Saints have nobody. Chris Olave out, Rashid Shaheed out, Derek Carr out. Wow. So it's a bit of a, bit of a mismatch there for New Orleans. So we're going to start in the obvious place. This is going to be a field goal game. We've got Will Lutz over 1.5 field goals tonight. There it is. Will Lutz over 1.5 field goals. This game might end 9-6, and everybody wins. Thank you.
It might, actually.
It might.
Yes.
It might be a 9-6er. Another guy that you have heard of, obviously, Alvin Kamara receiving yards. They have nobody. So we're going to go Alvin Kamara receiving yards over 25. Maybe a nice little screen pass. Maybe a nice little slant play from the slot. You never know. Alvin Kamara over 25 yards. And this is the one that I'm staking everything on.
Really?
This is the most
This is
important
it.
leg. This is
Okay.
it.
House, home, unborn baby. all of it.
If this doesn't hit, we have a massive problem. And you're going to laugh when I say the name. But we are having 50 yards, over 50 yards, for Bub Means.
Oh, I love that name.
Who? Bub Means, the wide receiver one in New Orleans. Good rapport with Spencer Rattler on the second team. Okay, had a touchdown and 45 yards last week in a shootout. No Patrick Surtain 2 tonight. So Bub Means over 50 yards. If you want to get crazy and mix in a little anytime touchdown for Bub Means, you're going to be making
well,
money.
don't get crazy.
If that's the game. If you're going to get
You
crazy.
gotta get responsible,
If you're going to
not
get crazy. Right.
Bub means business.
Bub Means business. Over 50 yards for him. Over 25 yards receiving for Alvin Kamara. And Will Lutz over 1.5 on the field goals. That gives you a nice plus 550, a juicy Thursday fun.
Nice.
But Bub Means everything tonight for Bub Means.
Bub means everything. I got a very intimidating point from Stu there. He just had a Thursday heater. And was pointing at me, and I got a full little Chris Cody morning breath situation there from Stugotz over here.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
All right, armpits.
But I'm not.
Hey.
That's why I put on the jacket, by the way, so
Why'd you
I
put
can
on that
rave
jacket?
my
That's
hands
hot
free.
as hell in here.
It's not. It's freezing in
No,
here. What are you
it's
talking
not.
about?
Oh, I should have done that
It's
instead of
hot?
showering.
Yeah, dude, I'm about to take off the sweater. It's boiling in here.
2 studios, man.
It was nice outside today, though, man.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Stugotz, the weather is
Soup
finally
season.
here.
Yeah.
It is.
Fall was
Soup
in,
season.
Fall was in the air. Last night, I felt it the first time.
I can't even describe to people who don't live here how horrible it has been outside since May. It's not like it's gotten gradually nicer out as after Labor Day or through September. No, it's been like 109 degrees with the heat index every single day with no breaks until yesterday. And now it's finally here. It's soup season.
An Xer writes in. Do we call them Xers or do we call them
No.
tweeters?
Tweeter.
Why, when Dan leaves the show, they go out and get boring Israel Gutierrez and not promote from within? It's bad enough Stugotz's annoying laugh every 2 seconds without Dan.
Wow.
What's that supposed
You
to
wanted
say?
me to laugh there. I'm not going to laugh
I
there.
did want you to laugh there.
You know, we did promote
It's too mean to
within.
laugh at.
We had Billy Gill co-hosting the show yesterday. We try to do it when we can, but we love Izzy around here, and I don't care what the listeners say.
Thank you. And just for the listener who wants less of me, I want to give you more of Jeremy. Because I think we need to talk some Miami Heat. Because last night, the Miami Heat was an unexpected back-to-back because this was a game that was rescheduled because of Hurricane Milton. And so they played the Atlanta Hawks in Miami the night after playing the San Antonio Spurs in Miami. And if this was last year, Jeremy, there would have been no names you recognize on that floor. On a back-to-back in the preseason, it just would have been, 11th through 15th guy. We'll see you guys the next preseason game. They had all the starters out there, played pretty regular minutes. Jimmy had his 24-point game, went to the foul line 8 times, did his normal thing. This does not look like a team that is just going to coast through the regular season and hope they make the playoffs.
No, it feels like the opposite. Look, last year, the vibes were down. Like, from the moment the season started.
You wouldn't know that around here.
Well, you would if anyone got to speak about the team. But the vibes were...
Yeah, I'm sure you would have crushed the team at the start of last
The
season.
vibes, it's a separate conversation. The vibes were not great to start last season. Emo Jimmy, from the moment Dame Lillard wasn't traded here, the whole season was going to go into a weird place. You had Tyler Hero finding out he was staying while at lunch with Eric Spoelstra. He knew all offseason long, including several off seasons before that he might be traded. This is the first year he's come in knowing that that's not the case and that he'd actually be a part of the Heat going into the year and could train that way. And this season, thus far in the preseason, everyone seems to be on the same page. I actually, if we want it, I do have a top 5 reasons to be optimistic about the Miami Heat, if you'd like to be optimistic about the Miami Heat.
Should we take a vote? Because he said
wordy.
if we want it. Normally, you're supposed to just go and give your top 5 the way Tony does. Just perform.
I want the top 5.
You want him? That's
Yeah.
okay.
Because you want to be optimistic?
I do want to be optimistic. First, I want to wonder what Tyler Hero orders at a lunch with Spo.
Right.
Do you think he's like showing off with the order? He's like, let me get a kale salad with
No,
chicken.
I think
He's
he's
gotta
eating
put on weight.
a ton of protein.
Yeah.
Like that
Yes.
guy's eating just 3 bowls of just chicken.
Philly
If he doesn't
cheesesteak-
order it, Spo is.
Philly cheesesteak double meat, you think? Maybe?
Apparently, Spo, and Chris knows this, Spo absolutely murders the, what is it, the treadmill that has that sort of, what's it called?
Incline.
Curve?
The
The
incline.
It's the curved treadmill, right? So you sort of control it yourself based on your own
Was
pace.
it Duncan?
Yeah,
that
it
told
was
us?
Duncan that
Yeah.
told us that, he absolutely murders that thing. It looks like he's going to fall off, it seems like, because he just goes so hard.
He said the most impressive thing about Spo is his literal workout regimen.
The most impressive thing about this Hall of Fame coach is his workout regimen. So I've got to see it.
Bam Adebayo also said he's the office funny. That's how he described Spo, is that he has that type of sarcastic, like dry sense of humor.
Where you like stare at the camera after.
Right. That's what I told him. I was like, we need to get like a documentary crew just on this season, not for Jimmy Butler, but for Spo, so that he can give those looks toward the camera. But yeah, I've got this top 5. So if you guys want to be optimistic, let's start here.
Well, hold on a second. We want all 5 in one show? I mean, or do you want like one at a time here? I could use one. I don't know if I need 5 reasons to be optimistic. Yes.
All right, so let's go one by one.
It's not
here.
generally-
We'll take a vote
Over the
after
next 5
every
shows.
single
you want to
one.
hear them out first?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll give you the first one. We'll start. Well, do you have any
But
OLIs?
that doesn't make me
The
start.
slow burn.
Yeah.
Okay,
Top
slow
5.
burn.
Well,
All right.
yeah, just feeling out process.
All
here.
right.
We
Yeah.
know it's going to get better, right?
if
So
it's
we
worth
know
it.
that already. So
Right.
don't give us the best one at first. But if it's a decent number 5, we'll allow you to keep going.
All right.
Number 5.
The young guys.
All right,
So
no,
it's fun.
wait,
The Heat.
wait,
Hold
wait,
on.
no,
Let me
no,
explain.
no.
The
No,
Heat.
well, no,
The Heat added a lottery pick in Khalil Ware, who I know Tony is high on. Pella Larson, their second-round pick, is getting glowing reviews around the organization, including from Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez, Bam Adebayo. Everyone is shocked by how polished and ready to play Pella Larson already is. You've got Kashad Johnson as well. He was his teammate at Arizona. He's a high-flying guy, sort of the P.J. Tucker mold, and that's thanks to Bronny James. Because
Bronny's on
Kashad
this
Johnson only ends up as an undrafted player because the Lakers selected Bronny James. He was one of the guys as the best available left at the end of the draft. He goes undrafted, ends up here in Miami, the perfect place for him. To me, those 3 young guys are potentially going to add to this team later down the line, but rarely do you have a team that's as deep as the Heat are and young guys waiting in the wings.
All right,
Stu
before we
was
take
right.
a vote
One a
here.
day.
Yeah, before we
but
take
this
a vote
doesn't allow-
here, I don't want.
You made me give the worst one, and then
I
No,
don't
you
want
decided
lead
to
the
give the
jury.
worst one.
I mean, I was out at the
Let's
beginning.
go for the bottom.
I just want to say that the young guys on this team have only been playing garbage time preseason minutes against fellow garbage time
right.
preseason minute types of players and have looked decent against them. But if they were really going to contribute, you would think the head coach would be playing them with the main guys, no?
I believe that the reason that hasn't happened is because the Heat are trying to build chemistry with the rotation that they are going to have. The starting lineup has not played a game together in the regular season before.
That doesn't help your case because the rotation that they're going to have is the rotation they're going to play with, and that's what's supposed to
The
give us hope.
rotation that they're gonna play with.
I vote no more.
Okay, that's fine.
Tony, you want another one?
Yeah, I want to know.
Wow.
I'm willing to hear him out.
Thank you.
I'm willing to hear him out on one more.
Stugotz wants one more, Chris?
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Roy?
All right, I'll give him a
All right,
chance.
that's the deciding vote. I don't even need to let Jess vote here.
Just have Roy
What was it,
decide next time.
1919?
It's 7 of us. It was already a vote of 4.
Jimmy Butler seems locked in. Now, this is one that's interesting.
I made the wrong
because
choice.
Jimmy played 60 games last year.
We all did.
And we've now learned through the Starting 5 documentary that Jimmy lost his father during one point last season, and the reason
That's a
why
terrible
that was a
time
bad
to
time
laugh.
for a laugh.
Oh,
It was
right,
something
right.
spoken in an ear.
What was that?
It was a separate behind the scenes conversation.
There are many
happening.
conversations happening at once during this show.
That's not a good one to laugh at.
No, terrible.
But
Sorry.
Jimmy Butler went through a lot last season, including the fact that, I as we mentioned, the emo Jimmy element of, I don't want to run it back with the same team. I don't want to be here playing all these regular season games. I'm going to coast. I'm going to end up in the postseason, and we're going to be fine. And in playing 60 games last year, I don't think anyone would argue he was truly locked in as Jimmy Butler for more than 20 to 25 of those. Now you have a guy who's in a potential contract season with the ability to opt out, who showed up to media day, albeit late, without any sort of haircuts or attitudes. He's done everything that the Heat have asked him to do thus far. He came in saying that he heard Pat Riley's challenge and wants to play in these regular season games. He's playing last night on the second night of back-to-backs.
All right, I have to stop you.
Homer!
Jimmy Butler.
Chris's face tells everything that we need to know. He's
You guys
regretting
said you
asking.
wanna be
he's
optimistic.
regretting asking for a second one. All right.
This is
when
unbelievable.
you
That's
say
4,
Jimmy
wow.
Butler's
It's
locked
too
in,
much optimism. I mean, sorry.
it's too rainbow bright. It's too much. Like when you say Jimmy Butler's locked in, you got to tell me that he dressed exactly like Terry Rozier last night. He
did, but
That's how you tell me he's
Okay, but I
locked in.
can't tell you that until I get to one of my other points in the top 5, which is the power of friendship. But you guys don't want to hear
Oh
about
wait,
The power of
I mean, hit the
friendship?
sounder. He already gave us this. What was that? Number 3?
I guess we can call it number 3.
All right, number 3 of the
cannot
list we didn't
believe
even
we're
ask
doing
for.
this.
The power of friendship.
The
Please
power of
explain.
friendship. Now, the Miami Heat, for the last several years, have been
Let's all watch Chris to see if this is a good
not
one.
one of the most talented teams in the NBA, and the thing that has constantly sort of buoyed them has been the vibes. When things are going bad, as we know with Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry, it can really go south quickly for this team.
Yes, it
Jimmy
can.
Butler during training camp this time around in the Bahamas is inviting guys over to his complex. They're playing dominoes together. They're hanging out into the late hours of the night. Then they're going through training camp together. Thus far this season, he picked a fight with Chris Paul to defend Jovic. Then last night, he dressed entirely as Terry Rozier with the arm sleeves and the wristband, even
Purple
went back
shoes.
into the locker room after Terry had come out in the purple shoes to go back and get purple shoes of his own so that he could match entirely. These guys are messing around with each other. They're having a good time. Tyler has a steal in the first quarter, and he's literally smiling on the fast break as he goes down for a dunk. Again, the vibes feel a little bit different than they did going into last preseason, and that quote-unquote power friendship that the Knicks had last year that was the reason they made a run, according to so many of their fans. If you want to look at this team, it's that type of environment around the team.
Chris, what do we think?
For the audio audience, Jeremy's rubbing his nipples through that entire thing.
Yeah, it was disturbing,
Yeah.
actually.
Shot selection.
Nope.
This is
Number
number
2.
2.
So the Miami Heat have completely reworked their offense thus far this
Stu can go have another
preseason.
heater.
Georgia plays Texas. I mean,
So last season during the regular season, last year during the regular season, the Miami Heat were 26th in field goal attempts from 0 to 8 feet. In the preseason, they are 4th in the NBA. Wow. Last season, they were 4th in shots from 8 to 16 feet, one of the most inefficient shots in the NBA. This year, they're 29th. So thus far, in the last 3 games that they've won, they scored 120 points. 116 of those came from threes, in the paint, or free throws. In each of the last 3 games, only 4 points have come anywhere outside of free throws, three-pointers, and in the paint. So this team is becoming one of those teams that's getting more efficient, easy shots. They're spacing, and that includes Bam Adebayo, who's shooting 40% from three-point range in
Somehow
this preseason.
he's making me less excited about the Miami Heat. I was
Yeah,
super
he's
excited
making me
last
hate
night.
the Heat. I mean-
and I'm actually glad we didn't go one every day. Let's just get this last one out of the way. Number 1.
I think there's 2 more.
They have 15 steals per game every game.
Don't expand. We get it.
That's
Yeah, I
number 1?
Preseason steals is where we're going. I like it.
Defense
All right.
is good, and and it matters because nobody thought they were
We've
going to be able to
broken
defend with the
Jeremy.
starting
I think
lineup.
we have.
We
Like
have,
even so. Even
I said, do you
want
to be optimistic? I can make you feel optimistic. I'm coming in with positivity. I've been so positive. Baseball's been great. Everything's been awesome. I've been so happy. And now the first time that I talk Heat, not only am I made miserable, but I know the audience is too.
Yeah.
You've driven me to madness.
You're going to be even more upset because later in the show, it's either today or tomorrow, we'll have a segment of about 12 minutes of us at Heat Media Day. And when I say us, I mean not you.
Yeah, Jeremy's not there though.
No.
So.
We had fun though. We had a lot of fun.
It was great.
Alabama plays Tennessee.
Massive game.
What are their preseason stats?
They don't have any.
You know what we think? I think what we need is Jeremy's top 5 concerns about the Heat this season.
But not today, though.
Not today. No, definitely not.
No one likes optimism. People
Next week.
like concerns.
That's what
right.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, especially on this show.
Yeah.
I did feel good about them last night. I did feel good about their spurtability. They were playing against an Atlanta Hawks team that had hit 15 threes.
You're falling
through 3
for it.
quarters.
I mean-
no, well, I was already sold on this team. I'm just trying to
But
fight
then I
off
started
Jeremy.
talking, so we had to get negative.
I just had to fight off Jeremy because he's just kind of making me not want to like him as much. But the forcing turnovers is kind of crazy. So this is a team that's not going to worry that much about defense, even though they're going to play crazy hard. They're going to change their their shot profile to be nothing but threes and layups, which is what the rest of the league has been doing anyway. And they have the 3-point shooters and the drivers to be able to do it. Yeah, I think they're going to be pretty good. I don't think I need a top 5 for that.
Who on this show do you think has the best spurt ability?
Don't answer that.
No, I refuse.
Tony?
Yeah, I think it's me.
Is that a follow-up or is that your answer?
It's my answer. Definitive. Tony, can you save us? Do you have another top 5?
Stu, I thought you would never ask.
He actually thought you would never ask, so.
So the
Well,
Well,
music's
Chris
not
definitely
ready.
thought he would
Hold on,
never
we're waiting.
ask
Yeah,
because
we're
he's not ready with the sound
I
on
need
that.
to
Who's
get
not
this-
ready?
I need to get the stink of Heat optimism off of me, please.
Let's show him how to do a top 5, Tony.
All right, Tony's Top 5 is presented by DoorDash. Get all your game day faves delivered. Head straight to DraftKings.com/DoorDash to play for free. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. Guys, we've got a monster NFL slate to look forward to this week.
Yes, I would say this week is the biggest football weekend of the year.
For sure.
College and pros.
Right now, so far in the season?
Okay, sure. So
Okay,
I
thank
mean,
you.
littered with good games.
Yeah, it's
Stugotz also said Monday was like the best day of
It was
New
the
York
best
sports in his life.
Well, it was. I mean,
We're just doing a lot of hyperbole.
I could make the argument this is the best Week 7 slate in NFL history.
It's
I'm
awesome.
so glad we spent 10 minutes on Heat preseason.
It's awesome. But that's next week. We're talking about last week.
okay.
We're gonna start with number 5. I'm saying we were looking forward to next week. We're talking about last week. That's what Tony's Top 5 is. It's not a preview.
I'm just gonna put myself back in a Week 6 mindset.
Yes, exactly. Number 5, Jaden Daniels still hasn't had a bad game. He's so good even when they lose, he shows me something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey!
I mean, where's the hay?
Hey!
Don't we have a hay?
All right, so nobody
my bad.
knows
No
how to
hay,
do a
no
top
hay.
5
Wow, this
anymore.
top 5 sucks.
It's been a staple of the show since, 1990?
Yeah.
And we can't get
the
this
hay
right?
is in the sound, guys.
Yeah,
Like, there's
yeah.
no hay button.
Chris
there never
knows-
has been.
There's always been a hay button. That's
No,
not the
Chris
point.
knows what he's doing here. I mean, I think. But he does.
Number
Tony,
4.
Tony, what you're saying is Jaden Daniels, even while losing to the Ravens, you were still impressed
He
with
showed
Jaden
me
Daniels.
something.
He's really good.
Exactly.
He's really good, but I think Caleb is better. I'm sorry. I might trample your top 5 there. Anyway, go ahead. Number 4.
Number 4. There's the Caleb Williams we were told.
Hey.
There's the Caleb Williams we were told about.
I know my guy.
Back-to-back games, throwing touchdowns, spreading the ball across the field. It's like, all right, he's starting to come into his own. Now the game's starting to slow down a bit for him. If you don't look too deep into the Chicago Bears schedule, because you're going to find a lot of bad teams, and they're doing this against a lot of bad teams. But the spark is there. The arm is there, getting about his mobility. Like, it's exciting. So that's the Caleb Williams we were told about. Very excited about it.
Here's a little secret, Tony. Don't ever look at the schedule and who your teams beat because there's too many bad teams in the NFL.
You know, but specifically with the Bears, there's a lot of bad
Yes.
teams in there. Number 3, we talked about it yesterday. Baker's back.
Yeah.
Baker's back in a big way. Number 1 in touchdowns. Number 4 in completion percentage with 71%. Number 8, I want to say, in yards over the season. Baker's playing amazing.
What
Chris is going
tier
to find
is
that
he
hay,
in?
I promise.
What tier is he in? Is he in the top tier of NFL quarterbacks now? Because he's
approaching it.
He's getting close. There's not that many of them.
Funny enough, we did Tony's tiers, which are coming out on YouTube at some point. Let me find them all.
Wow.
Well, wow, he has the tiers. This is
Yeah, I got my tiers right here.
Tiers right behind him.
Let's see. Baker is good enough.
Good enough.
He's in the tier that's good enough to get you the playoffs.
It's got to be the third tier, right?
What's the highest of your tiers?
Highest of my tiers, not to give it away, but highest of my tiers is Patrick Mahomes' tier.
Okay. All right.
And then it's elite.
Right.
Then it's good enough.
Mhm.
Then it's meh.
Right.
Then it's jury's still out.
Right.
which were,
I love that.
a lot of
Yeah.
guys that are the jury's still out on.
But Baker's getting close to elite, right?
Baker's on his climb.
On his climb. Okay.
And then here's the funny thing about the tiers is that once you get to a certain point, you get kicked back to the jury, and then the jury figures out, wait a second, we need to confer, we need to talk about this. He might be elite. So Baker might go to jury still out and then jump back to elite.
I think Stugotz
that's
would
Tony's
love
tiers, that's a different story.
A taste of Tony's tears.
I would.
Just a little taste.
Number 2.
By the way, the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, play the Ravens. It's the greatest
Monday night.
It's the greatest Week 7 of all time. But they play them on Monday night. It's such a big game. It's such a fun game. I hope Baker wins that game.
Number 2, I want to go through a list of the buzzsaw teams.
A top 5 within a top 5.
It's a top 3 within a top 5.
Wow.
But number 2 is buzzsaw teams.
Ooh.
You ready? Ravens,
Wow.
buzzsaw.
Buzzsaw.
Lions,
Buzzsaw.
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 Hey.
Texans,
Yeah.
buzzsaw.
Agreed.
Those are my 3 buzzsaw teams right now. Ravens, Lions, Texans. You put them in, they're buzzing some saws.
Is that what a buzzsaw does?
You know, just cuts through.
Just cuts
buzzing
through other
saws, baby.
saws.
The saw is on the buzzsaw, right? But then it makes the noise of bzzz, which is why it's the buzz saw.
Got it.
Got me?
Yep.
Number 1, it's over in Dallas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Everything?
Everything. It's over.
Really?
It's over. Money
my
wasted
God.
on CD. Money wasted on Dak. The defense is just atrocious. They don't have a running game. Jerry Jones has just lost the team. McCarthy's lost the locker room. It's over.
Is
it's
CD calling out Dak during games?
Yes.
Like, is that bad lip reading or is that real?
It's anytime Dak does something bad, the camera operators know, go find CD wherever he is and just zoom in on him.
And if you go play and replay of the play and then show what he says, it absolutely matches.
Links up,
Like if it's
yes.
a bad throw, he's like, that was a terrible throw. A good throw gets me a touchdown.
He keeps saying, like, throw it up.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't throw it up, and they don't catch touchdowns, and that's kind of what it is. But it's over in Dallas. That's number 1. Tony's Top 5, presented by DoorDash. DraftKings.com/DoorDash. Go play for free. Restrictions apply.
All right, I get it. I see where I went wrong. You got to say everything's over. No room for optimism here.
That's a top 5.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I
you gotta go
had,
pessimistic.
hold on.
Pessimistic.
I had 4 optimistic things and 1 pessimistic thing.
Yeah, he didn't bog it down with a bunch of numbers. You just got to trust the eyes.
It's facts, right? Just eye
Yeah.
test vibes.
Yeah, I test.
I tried to say the power of friendship vibes. No, but that's too positive.
Yeah, but
that's bad.
He
that's not
finished
what we
with
do.
a boom, though. I mean, he gave you 4 optimistic things and then finished with everything is over in Dallas.
Okay.
That's how you do it.
I like that we
Exactly.
got Tony's tears and Jeremy's tears back to back.
Couple of
Jeremy's
tears,
are the
cutting it
best.
up. I mean,
I didn't realize that Chris's
Scared the
clothing.
shit out of Willow, Chris. What is this little dance?
Doing the boom dance.
Doing the boom dance, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I realized while he was doing the boom dance that he's wearing clothes that just give you advice. It says pee daily. Which I'm thinking
That's
if you
what we
don't
do,
that, yeah, you should probably. Should we start a pee chat?
Brush your teeth if you do it, though.
brush daily.
Just what was this? Will Levis has been like a very intriguing quarterback for me because
That's
he's
a
got
great
like
word for it.
Intriguing, yeah.
He's just like these commercials are strange. He seems to be leaning into his personality. He's got like he's basically built like Tim Tebow, but entirely different personality. And what did he do here? He took out a ball boy recently.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, there's like Will Levis has kind of turned into an internet meme because he's had a moment from every game he's played in the season like go viral for just looking kind of absurd in a still frame. And so in the first game, it was like this absurd fumble he had the interception in the Bears game with the surrender cobra. The second game, it was this absurd
I can do that now
fumble
because I
where
put
he
on a
was-
jacket, but I
Yes,
don't have this
you can
pit
do it
stains
now.
anymore.
He was in midair, like completely
The
like
tackle, right?
starfish position, and the ball was just out of his hand. So and then there was another one who was like crying. It looked like he was crying on the sideline. It's been a really weird season for him. But yes, he took out. Don't know. I guess ball man would be the word because it was like an adult, older man. It was an older gentleman.
The ball dude.
This has happened a couple times this season so far. I mean, I know it happens every year, but so far this season, I've seen 2 fairly significant injuries to chain gang members or guys like the spotters on the sidelines. And this guy had to get carted off the field. And I felt so bad for him because his entire leg was wrapped up and he was being carted off all because of this kind of like freak accident play on the sidelines involving Will Levis. So, of course, now that has also gone viral.
So not only do we probably not need them because we could use technology to spot the ball. I believe there's like technology in the flag football league that's way better than the NFL. But they're still on the sidelines suffering potentially, I mean, at their age, life-threatening injuries because anytime you go under a knife at that age.
I think it was a ball boy. I don't know how you get a robot on the sideline to like do some of
the Tesla robot.
That's also been a really good
meme. I love that meme. That's the best meme on the internet right now. It's incredible.
Sad Tesla robot going through TSA, and it's like my
hold
Tesla
my drugs.
robot when I ask it to hold my drugs going through security.
My Tesla robot asking after I ask it to get a part-time job to help pay for itself.
Yes.
My Latin mom when it says "Nadie me ayuda aquí."
What?
I don't think
Nobody helps me.
I don't think every job on the sideline could probably be replaced. It is a dangerous place to be, obviously, the sideline of a football game. I know people that have gotten concussions. I know people that have gotten their legs taken out. But yeah, I felt really bad for this guy because it really did not look pleasant.
Of all the quarterbacks that you see barreling towards you in the NFL, I'm pretty sure Will Levis is like
he's the one you
three?
don't want to see. Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, that'd be a good top 5. Can we do tiers of quarterbacks you'd least want to see coming barreling towards you?
If you're holding the
sideline?
chains, right?
Yeah,
If you're part of the
he's
chain gang.
Josh Allen is number 1 for me.
You get out of the way. Yes.
That is.
You drop the chain, you get out of the way. Yes.
Cam Newton up there too.
Tua's up on my list because he doesn't know how to slide.
Let me check out this Will Levis play. I'm looking at it for the first time. I didn't see it live. And then goo! All right.
His leg snapped.
Why are we going goo?
Jeez.
He got a sound comes out when you see it.
Goo?
When you pee your pants, isn't that a goo?
Yep.
Go.
Man,
Hey.
that looked like it hurt.
Did you guys? I mean, not to go from
Number 3.
terrible accident to very difficult accident to think about and watch. But did you guys see the Aidan Hutchinson injury?
Yeah.
And how did you guys experience that?
I
Because
can't unsee it.
when I saw it, I'm looking up toward the knee because I had no idea what the injury is. And then right at the very end, you see the ankle kind of dangling, and it's like, oh no!
It's not even his ankle, is he? It's like mid leg is dangling. You
Yeah,
look
like
like
a
a
cast down.
spaghetti noodle
Ugh.
when you just like kind of go like this.
I actually didn't see it, but I saw some still shot going around the internet, which was terrible.
So whenever that happens, I think of Joe Theismann, who had his leg snapped in half by Lawrence Taylor during, I think, a Monday Night Football game. And LT knew it was so bad that he was waving the team doctors to come out to help Joe Theismann. I also think of Jordan Travis last year with Florida State, where I remember that and I saw it and I wish I didn't see it. And I told my wife and my kids, don't see it. Like, you don't want to see it. You don't want to see it. And for some reason, they didn't realize how bad it was, and they went to see it. They sought it out.
Kevin Ware, the one from Louisville.
Yeah.
Louisville.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's a bad one. But I heard my kids screeching in their bedroom when they watched it. And I'm like, I told you not to watch it.
It's terrible.
Paul
And
George had the same thing.
Yeah.
First thing I thought of was, man, he shouldn't have said he wanted to break that record this year. Like, you're just tempting fate. And I'm telling you, like, he's never going to say that again. I don't know how superstitious he is. He's probably never going to say it again. Because I don't know what pace he was on. But
A good one.
Right, one where he probably needed one more, 2 or 3 game stretch where he would have set that. But yeah, I am 100% superstitious about that stuff. Never would say it again.
And it totally sucks too because they were already winning that game. That game was pretty much
over,
and it was on. Like, I watched it happen live, and honestly, like, I think I was looking at the wrong place because I was like, oh, looks like he got rolled up on. That stinks. But then I was not watching Red Zone, so they flipped back, and he was like getting on the cart, and I was like, oh no.
I think it was a leg whip.
I have not gone back to look at the play.
He was running, and I think like he put his leg out to like run forward, and then somebody was running behind him, like either in a block or trying to get around on like a stunt, and his leg just got like basically when the freeze frame is your half of your leg at a right angle,
right?
That's usually bad, like wrapped around somebody else's leg.
Making it
Tony's
worse
right about that.
for me is.
Thank you.
We're just starting nationally to get to know Aidan Hutchinson. Like, he's in these commercials. You're just like, who's that guy on the State Farm? Oh, okay. And you figure out who he is. And it's like, wow, he's this up and coming. He's going to be maybe the best defensive, whenever TJ Watt retires, the best defensive player out there. And then bam, like, not only is he out for the season, but it's gruesome and it's tough to look at. And you feel sorry for him. You go from like being scared by him to feeling sorry for him because he's got everything in front of him. Fortunately, though, it's just a broken leg. Like, I know it sounds crazy.
No, but you're right.
It's just
it
a
could have
broken
been
leg.
worse. Yes,
Put a
you'd
couple
rather
steel
just
plates
break.
in there.
No, you'd rather break your leg like that than tear an ACL or an MCL or something like that. A clean break like that. Yeah.
100%. But I also think, because I have a couple of
100%,
good
huh?
friends. Yes, 100%.
Yes.
No
Right.
doubt. I have some friends in Detroit,
We're
and
doctors.
when things go well in Detroit, stuff like this happens, and I feel terrible for them. Like, I know I'm a Dolphins fan. I haven't seen the Dolphins win a playoff game since, previous century, but it must suck for Lions fans to experience that. I know Tony's been watching this. He did a top 5 yesterday of, you do top 5s every day?
That's what I do, baby.
Did a top 5 yesterday
Showbiz.
of, I believe it was
Just one, huh?
things his wife learned while watching the Netflix show Starting 5. Is
Bingo.
that right?
Yep.
And I don't remember what they were, but it was a very memorable top 5. And I'll tell you the one thing that I've just kind of like landed on. I'm calling Anthony Edwards Chick-fil-A because I really want to hate him. I really want to dislike him. But just like those Chick-fil-A sandwiches where they put just the right amount of MSG to just hook you on them, Anthony
Mecca.
Edwards is addicting. Anthony Edwards has everything you want out of a superstar, despite the fact that he had that one incident where he videotaped himself rolling down the windows and seeing a bunch of guys going into a gay bar saying, "What does the world come to?" So clearly he's got some Chick-fil-A in him. But he's so good. And the
I love
second
this
they,
take. It's
the
a great
second they interview him, I'm just like, I forgot everything he said in the past, and I just want to follow this
locked
guy.
in.
He is so entertaining. And normally these young guys who you think didn't take college seriously, they're just coming to the league and just showing off their skills. Normally they're not this like combination of polished and humorous. And like just everything he talks about, you feel like he's telling you the truth. He's keeping it real, but he's doing it in an efficient and funny way. And I'm so jealous of Minnesota.
Now I want to figure out what my Chick-fil-A is. I think it's Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Because, man, I love watching that stuff, even though I know it's not good.
But do they? But they don't like give money to hate groups, do they?
Well, neither does Anthony Edwards. I'm
Well,
playing the game of, like,
no.
why am I allowed, like, you just made Anthony Edwards
You're playing
Chick-fil-A.
apples to apples is what you're doing.
But in the same way that I call Chick-fil-A homophobic chicken, I can call Anthony Edwards homophobic superstar. And I'm not saying he's homophobic. I'm just saying he had that one thing.
He's got a couple things, but,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
A couple of things. And I still haven't gotten to the episode where he's running through a hospital in his.
Oh, that's a great episode.
Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet. Very dramatic.
It's a little bit drawn out, but
Okay.
he has a kid in the season, and that's what
Spoilers,
he's
everyone.
going to.
Oh, that's what
what
it
he's going to the
was. Okay.
hospital for.
Izzy,
yeah.
you are very forgiving. I mean, just if a guy's good and he entertains you, that's it.
I am not very forgiving, in fact.
Right.
I have, for example, never seen a show that Chris Broussard is on, ever, since he exposed himself as being who he is. And so him I will not forgive, but Anthony Edwards, man. Like, here's the thing about Edwards is I just think he's a little naive, maybe uninformed on certain things. I mean, why would you videotape yourself saying that to begin with? It's just, the act of an immature human. And based on what I see from him, seems like he has growth potential. And so I feel like, you know what? I don't know what he went through afterward and everything that he had to do to save his image from that situation. I just saw, an official apology or whatever. But if he did learn from that, then there is nothing to hate about him, at least in my book.
I think in Starting 5, you realize some of the undertones as you watch throughout the entire season, the 10 episodes, you realize he's immature. Mm-hmm. He's a kid, right? He's 20-something years old. Like, he doesn't have those, like, that knowledge of, all right, let me do this, let me say this is the right thing to do. Like LeBron, it's the perfect dichotomy because you have LeBron who's Mr. Perfect Image, who's Mr. Say everything right, do everything right. Here's the picture. I'm holding, hands with Obama. I'm here with kids. Like everything is perfect, right? Right. So it's like you look at that and then you look at Anthony Edwards, you're like, the skill is close, right? When you can push out his trajectory, but then the immaturity is there, and you see it with him having a kid. There's just like some things where you're like, oh, wait, he's still a kid himself.
It's why that ending of the first episode of Starting 5 was so perfect.
Yeah.
Because you've got LeBron coming off a win in Miami. It's toward the end of his career. He's talking about how I always want to be the best. I haven't seen anyone who's in better shape than me. And then they cut to a Lamborghini revving. And then you hear Anthony Edwards' voice in the background. You see him walking into the stadium, but you don't see his face. And you just hear him saying, essentially, I don't look up to anybody in the league. There's nobody better than me. Of course, I want to school LeBron one-on-one. And then the final cut is just to his face smirking at the camera. Cut, roll to credits.
So good.
It's as well done as a hype to go to a next episode could possibly be.
The only thing about that bugged me is if we fast forward to the end of that season, he's talking about KD and how much he loves playing against him and how much he is his hero. So he does look up to a few people. But I will say this feels like sort of a lifetime achievement situation for LeBron, one of the many, right? Because on this show, he is able to show us how many songs he knows every word to. Like, this has been something that people...
That
like,
opening
look,
episode, what are we doing?
Let's be honest, Tony, you've learned enough hip-hop songs that you want to show off. If somebody were just, like, playing the song and just be like, oh, I got this, and you would just go off and spit every single word. LeBron has been waiting for this every minute of his life. Like, he is singing along to songs from, like, 1999. He's going through a 30-year catalog.
What's the song that surprised you the most in terms of him knowing the words?
I don't think none of them surprised me.
Really?
I'm surprised that he started off with Jay-Z in such an old song.
Yes.
Like, I would have thought maybe a little bit something more modern, maybe a little Kendrick, since he's having a moment, although he didn't really have the moment last year yet. So maybe some
like
J.
Lil
Cole.
Baby.
Yeah, maybe Lil Baby was definitely having a moment in 23. So I would say I'm surprised his choice, but it's the least surprising thing about that show that about 30% of it is just LeBron
It's like,
rapping.
watch me in the back of a very expensive car rap every word to a song that maybe some of you have never heard before.
You know who doesn't know a word to a single song? Michael Jordan. How about that?
Jokic
He was
either.
consumed with winning championships. He didn't have time to listen to music. I mean,
He was just
What
listening.
about in the clip in The Last Dance where he's listening to music?
yeah, but
That's
he
after his playing
doesn't know
days.
the words. Yeah,
Right, right.
And
He's
he's
just
retired. Yeah,
No, it was in Barcelona.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
Olympics.
doesn't count
Yeah,
Olympics,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
you don't have to
Okay,
take it that
my bad.
seriously.
Kind of like a vacation from the
My bad.
Olympics.
I
You
haven't
can never
watched
question
any
Michael.
starting five because I spent my whole week binge watching the second season of the Amazon Lord of the Rings show. And to be honest, coming into work today, because I just finished it last night, it's been a little hard to think about sports because that really consumed me for the last 4 days.
I would imagine anybody who's never watched that show or is not a big Lord of the Rings fan, but is a fan of this show, would equate that to just spending hours of listening to Jeremy dissect the Miami Heat.
Damn.
I think you
Come on,
insulted
man.
both of us.
Damn.
Also, I think that we need to. Actually, I think, Izzy, you specifically need to apologize to Jeremy because I heard
Whoa.
before the show you guys talking about we're not going to do this the way we do it when Dan's here. We're not just going to, like, Jeremy, tell us what we like about the Heat. Let's just take a big steamy dump all over it, even though I asked you to do it, which is what the normal dynamic here is.
Right.
The
Yeah,
normal
I know.
dynamic is, Jeremy, we want you to talk about this. By the way, while you're talking about the thing we asked you to talk about, we're going to make you feel like about
It's the
it.
last 2 years,
Right.
baby.
And then we ended up just doing it anyways.
And
And I
you-
feel a little bad, even though the power of friendship did actually make me laugh out
It's
loud.
because we try to go into every one of these. We're like, all right, we're going to give him a chance here. And then
The
he
power of
starts.
friendship is strong between me and Jeremy.
And then
Like,
he
there's no
starts, and we
doubt
just
about
can't
that.
control ourselves.
There was just something in the middle of that where I was just like, wow, there's somebody in Minnesota right now thinking, why am I still listening to this? Because I don't care about
That's
the
why I
Miami
had the
Heat.
wordy title, which was top 5 reasons to be optimistic about the Heat. If you want to be optimistic about the Miami Heat, not just to do it, but
that's-
here we are.
That same guy in Minnesota, we got him back with Anthony Edwards, though.
Oh, yeah, we did.
That's a good point.
So Lord of the Rings, that's a movie about Michael, right?
You're half right. It's a series. A series about Michael.
I feel like that would be equating him to Sauron, which would mean that he's evil.
All right, Jess, let it out. Like, go ahead. Every Lord of the Rings fan, all three of them that are listening, they want
All
to connect
three.
with you
I
about
did a
this.
Q&A on my Instagram story yesterday, and I'll tell you, a lot of...
I had 14 questions.
There were hundreds of questions from Le Batard Show.
From two people.
Lord of the Rings fans. I will say, one of my favorite questions was, hey, I don't really like Lord of the Rings. Should I watch the show? No. If you don't like
No,
Lord of
if
the
you don't
Rings,
like it, that's ass.
you should not watch The Rings of Power on Amazon. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got. You guys aren't interested in it, and that's fine. I'm just letting you know I'm playing with a little bit of
Jeremy,
like
that's how you read a room.
You
You asked for it.
I asked for one.
I'm playing a little distracted today. I know there's a big college football weekend ahead. We previewed it on Gen CFB yesterday. You could check it out in the podcast or on YouTube. And we tried to do as much college football as we could in 24 minutes, which is always a difficult ask. But this morning I came in. I know there's an NFL game tonight. I know there was college football last night. I watched the Troy game 2 nights ago. But this whole week, it's just been hard to focus on football because I really have just been watching a lot of Lord of the Rings.
You can't stay awake for like the second half of a Monday Night Football game. How late are you staying up watching this addictive television show?
I actually timed it perfectly last night. So season 8 ended, and then I went straight into Liberty Lynx, which was just a really weird emotional high, and then okay, I'm watching basketball now, and then emotional high again at the end of that, and that ended around I want to say 10:15, and I went straight to bed. It was actually perfect timing for me. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting pretty good at this.
We were talking preseason basketball, and
Why?
speaking of perfect time, I know, right? Yeah. Speaking of perfect timing, I was on Oddball with Amin El Hassan. Charlotte was not on the show that day, or not on the segment with me. And we were talking about Zach Edey.
That's odd.
He looks good.
Looks good.
The big rookie from Purdue.
Post moves look nice.
I mean, he looks big. He looks big.
He looks huge.
I haven't seen post moves since the 80s.
I'm telling you, I saw a 2-minute cut of him. Looks good.
Yeah.
Well, that's great because on Oddball, we said he was going to suck. Amin and I both basically said the same thing. We've seen him in the NBA before. There's just no way that's going to work. Too plotting, can't really defend in the new age where you have to switch and everything else. Hasn't hit a 3 yet, 0 for 4, I believe, even though they thought he was going to spread the floor, or they think he will spread the floor for them. He didn't take any threes in college, which I understand doesn't mean he doesn't have the skill set, but it's just a practice, right? If you don't do it in games, you're not just going to all of a sudden start doing it especially well. So despite the fact that he's had some good games here, a 10 for 15 game, I know I'm right about this. There's zero question in my mind. Tony, if you, as an avid NBA watcher, believes that he is going to be great, I think you're no longer. I don't think you're a smart basketball fan at that point.
Izzy,
I think
real
you're kind of
hoopers
a dummy.
know. Real hoopers know that the moment that he gets out onto a floor and there's a switch between whoever is guarding Luka and him, and then all of a sudden he has to guard Luka at the 3-point line, it's over.
Never have I been so sure, despite being proven wrong. I am 1,000% confident that this man will not be, let's say, an impact rotation player this season for the Memphis Grizzlies. I think he will start in the rotation, but I think by, 15, 20 games in, he'll be off the rotation.
So I just want to be clear on your stance here. If I have the audacity to think Zach Edey is going to be good, you're telling me before he's played a single regular season game that I'm wrong?
I'm telling you that you are wrong 1,000%, and I am right despite the fact that I am currently in the preseason, which it doesn't count, being proven wrong.
Are you taking a victory lap?
I think I am.
About something that hasn't happened yet?
I am taking a victory lap.
Because if you are, I am so proud of you.
I am taking a victory lap ahead of the actual victory. So,
is Danny here today? We need an actual victory lap.
All right.
How did we end up with 2 Stugotzes today?
No, I love this. We're going.
Stugotz.
Izzy, get the hell out of here.
It's usually you and Stugotz.
There's
over there.
3, yes.
You guys are
Oh
the
my
2
God,
Stugotz.
no.
So now there's 3 of us.
You have 2 brothers.
All right, so I'm taking a victory lap then.
I just got a thumbs up from Danny. He's here. You go now.
Wait a second. He's taking a victory lap for real?
The rare pre-first game in the NBA victory lap.
Wow. I'm sure the Grizzlies fans are going to love this, but this isn't like your dad's victory lap, Chris Cody, where he just got winded by taking a couple of
that's all he could do.
Brisk steps around the couch out there. What we should utilize this place and go to the gym and let me actually get a workout in.
Let's do it. Get out of here. Go.
Right now.
Go.
Right now.
Go.
Stu, you good?
I mean, he's the EP. He's letting you go mid-segment.
Not letting, demanding.
Okay.
Sue,
now
you
I'm
good?
good. Yeah, now I'm
Sue,
good.
you
Izzy,
good?
do you need
I
help?
wish I had the penalty box sounder just to force you to leave.
All right,
you can go.
only real hoopers can leave now.
Wow.
All right, I'm out of here.
Ooh.
Enjoy your lap.
I thought Izzy also was doing a figure of speech, it's not your father's victory lap, but he meant Chris Cody's literal father
Right.
who did a victory lap once where he was out of breath
He was wheezing,
because
yeah.
he couldn't actually run around.
The last guy
The
we should have
office.
had do a victory lap.
Can't wait for my Pello Larson and Kashad Johnson victory laps in January.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm marking everything that I said today so that way you guys can feel silly.
Roy, how far do you think you could run if you had to, jog? Like just a, slow pace.
About 15 feet.
I'm wondering if I can make it a mile. I'm serious at this point.
I think I could do 2 miles.
A mile?
Thank you for your confidence in me. I appreciate it.
I can't. A mile?
Yes.
I don't think with all the heaters, a mile is going to be an easy one for you.
You can run a mile. I run like, not to toot my own horn, I run like 3 miles once a week just to make sure I'm in shape.
Right.
But to peek behind the curtain a little bit, Greg said a few months ago he could run a 6-minute mile, which we all said that's the most insane thing
ridiculous.
ever. And then we were talking about who from us who would be most likely to run a sub 6-minute mile. I
Billy.
said definitely not me. I don't know if 6 minutes is really fast.
6
I don't
minutes
think
is
Billy
crazy.
could either.
Jess or Taylor would
Taylor
be.
actually started training for a 6-minute
No, he
mile
didn't.
because I told him there is no way that you could run a 6-minute mile. Respectfully, you are not the build of a fast sprint 1-minute miler. And he's been training for it, and he actually ended up hurting himself because he trained so hard.
Pulled a
for
hammy?
it. So I'm back at the. I don't think anyone here could.
I
run a
just
6-minute
asked
mile.
Taylor, I'm like, since you started this training, what is your fastest mile? He said 7:20.
Wow.
7:20. Like I could run 7:20 if
Wow.
I pushed myself, but 6 minutes is legitimately really, really hard, and I don't think anyone here could do it.
Chris, do you think you could churn out a mile right now?
Physically, yes. Like, it's not going to be a fast mile, but nobody can jog slow like I can.
Right.
I have this, like, if I'm going to run, back when I would run a little bit, I could just jog the slowest pace you'd ever see, where I'm walking essentially.
Right.
But my body is moving at
A
the
60-minute mile?
My arms are moving at the jogging pace, but it's just, oh man.
Chris, I think you could do. You could do 7.5, 8 minutes if you practiced a couple times. I believe in you. You're an athletic guy.
Are we saying 6 minutes is a long time or a short time? Because for me, 6 minutes is an eternity.
Same here. Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Taylor said
5
that-
more minutes than I'm accustomed to.
Taylor said that 7:20 was like the hardest thing he's ever done. Like he's like, I cannot get lower than this. He gave up after 7:20.
The 720 miles, the hardest.
He's like, I
thing
can't
to-
beat this.
Not to brag, I won the neighborhood turkey trot last year with
So-
my
That's 2 brags, by the
5K.
way.
It is 2 brags. I always had a strategy when I did that growing up on Long Island. So my dad would do it, my brother would do it, I'd do it with them. I would sprint. Like I always wanted to tell somebody I had the lead through a half mile. So I would sprint like the first half mile and then I'd bail in the entire race. But I would tell everyone, hey, I was leading after like a half mile or a mile. And then I would tail
And
out.
they would be impressed. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to brag, but I feel like we often will be like, who here is most likely to do this thing? And everyone's like, Tony, Billy. And I'm like, cool. I'm sitting right here as the person that definitely exercises and plays the most sports of the entire group. And I'm chopped liver. So someone's got to advocate for me. And today, it's me.
All right.
Good for you.
Can I ask a question?
No.
Can I ask a question that I
Jinx.
had watching game day this week? Washington State very famously has the record. I think it's 310 straight appearances on College game day. And it got me thinking who second place is and how pissed they are at Washington State. Like I saw like an Oregon State flag there, and I'm just like,
They're like, we're never going to catch up.
I just like the idea of Oregon State.
Oh, you mean the flag is there?
Yeah, the
Okay,
flag at game
right.
day.
Old Crimson.
Okay.
And every week they show Old Crimson. They're like, Washington State gets the love, and then you see like the Oregon State flag in the background, and you're thinking like they've probably been there 297 straight times,
Right.
But no one ever talks about it.
Right.
Like,
Why would you talk about second place though?
If you're Oregon State, though, are you trying to like make sure that the Washington State flag like misses their flight, and it's like, oh, sorry, you guys can't make it?
You're trying to take out the person who's responsible for the Washington State
If I'm
flag?
in second place with most appearances, I want the Washington State one to end.
Yeah, I know, I get it. And so
Is there a second place? Like,
They're better. I think there is.
I know that the Washington State people, like, they have to make a concerted effort to make sure there is a flag bearer at every single game day. Like, they logistically plan it out so that the streak continues. I don't know if there is another group
There should be.
with a flag doing that.
I like the idea of you being like it's like a group like to get Washington State flag there. Like she said, they like have to work hard. It's like this week you got it. 2 weeks this person's going. So we have it all plotted out who's gonna, and then just like it's like the Stugotz of the group. He
and
just,
you
like,
have some
doesn't
guy
make
from
it.
Corvallis with Oregon State
Well,
trying
now
to
I'm
take
thinking
out
about
Washington State.
the irresponsible Washington State person that ruins it for everyone. They just oversleep, and they just like imagine like it's your day to like bring the flag.
It's
to
Ryan
game
Leaf's day.
It's your day as the Washington State guy. Like I haven't had a day in 3 years. Like it's my day to bring it, and I oversleep. That would be terrible.
Oh man, that would be terrible.
What if they were like? What if
Do they
Reese
have a backup
Davis?
flag?
What if Reese Davis like midway through is like, hey, I don't want to be an alarmist, but I do not see a Washington State flag here.
That's going to be like a Kyle Ripken day right
And
there.
then there's
There's going to be an announcement.
And then like the Alumni Association, there's like a strongly worded email of like, what the hell happened, Frank? You were supposed to be there. And Frank's like, I overslept. I feel like game day would just put the flag up. Just like, we got to keep this streak
They have
going.
an emergency Washington State flag, and it's like behind a glass case, and they have to punch it.
And Oregon State's like, oh, come on, he overslept. And you're still going to put it up?
The streak's over.
This is bull crap.
Were you on a gummy?
No, I
love this bit.
I just saw the Oregon State flag.
Right.
And I was just like,
so
no one talks about their
So
flag.
do we know if there is a second place? Because that's an important point to know.
Like, are you
right?
only
I
tracking? You're only tracking Washington State?
Well, I
Well,
mean,
because it's been there since like 2003 or something.
Chris, when DiMaggio had the hit streak at like 55 games, no one was paying attention to the guy with the 12-game hit streak. You know?
Should have been.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, Chris, to answer Stugotz, to answer your question,
Yes.
and I guess Chris's question, everyone's question. If there is another flag that has made several consecutive appearances at game day, I don't know about it. So
I'm going to get to the
maybe.
bottom. I'm going to text Reese.
I mean,
should text Reese.
there has to be a second place. And I'm certain Reese would call out Washington State if they didn't show up one day.
But
I'm
does
certain he
anyone
would.
care about the second place one? Like, no,
No.
it's just
No.
one's keeping track.
No.
Of second
Until
place.
Washington State oversleeps. Then all of a sudden, Oregon
everyone
State.
cares.
It's
All
our
of a sudden,
time.
Kent State all of a sudden is in second place.
Kent State.
There's no way it's Kent State.
No way. No.
It is a big football weekend. Jess, I'm wondering here because I would say you have a second place, Jeremy? Oh, you did not? Okay. I would say that Alabama and Texas is probably, right, the game of the year. You could say that about Alabama, Georgia a few weeks ago, but the way it sits right now, you have Texas, you have Georgia. A lot of people think Texas is the best team in the country. I am fascinated by this game because I am not certain whether or not, because no one is. We don't know how the playoff is going to look, whether or not Georgia can lose a second game and still make the playoffs. A lot of people say yes. I don't know if that's the case, to be honest.
I think that both games are pretty important because there's going to be two teams in the SEC that we thought were really good going into the season that will have their second loss Sunday morning. And it could be Georgia and Alabama. It could be Tennessee and Georgia. But we do know Texas is the number one team in the number one spot. And if they lost to Georgia, it would not be the end of the world for them. So I would say in that case, yes, I guess it does make Tennessee and Alabama have higher stakes because the loser of that game is going to have to like really prove that they belong in the playoff for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But both games have huge playoff implications and huge SEC implications. I'm really excited for Georgia at Texas because it's in Austin. The U.S. Grand Prix is this weekend in Austin. It's going to be a huge sports weekend in Austin. I'm super bummed that I'm not going to be there, but I think that is just going to be an incredible atmosphere, and I think it's just going to be such a great Saturday.
I think it's going to be so interesting to see how the committee chooses this playoff. I do, meaning if Georgia does have 3 losses, but let's say, I don't know, Missouri has 1 loss. I hope they don't do it the way they've been doing it forever. I hope they just look at body of work. Okay, they lost a close game to Alabama. They dominated the second half. Maybe they lose a close game to Texas. They're definitely one of the 12 best teams in the country, and Missouri is not. I hope it's not a win-loss thing. I hope they can look at body of work, injuries, and everything. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why a lot of people favor the committee versus just like going off of like a computer algorithm because they can factor in injuries and road games versus home games and stuff like that. I do also think Michigan-Illinois this weekend, sneaky could be a big game because Illinois, they obviously let Purdue come back last weekend, took it to overtime and won by 1 point in overtime because Purdue could not convert their 2-point conversion in OT. But Michigan already has 2 losses this season. They have really struggled to find a quarterback that works for them. They've used 3 already. I don't know who's starting in this game. We might see a couple quarterbacks. It's just been a mess there. But Illinois they're good. Like they weren't able to beat Penn State. They only had 1 drive in that game where they were able to score points. And so maybe, I don't think they're like an elite college football team, but if they're able to beat Michigan this weekend, I think that is a really great season for Illinois. They're going to obviously be in a bowl game. They'll be 6-1. They'll be ranked in the top 20. I just think that that's a really exciting place for that program because they've struggled a lot in the last few years and have had few great seasons, and so beating a Michigan team, even one without a great starting quarterback, I think would be huge for that program.
Well, and think about it, Stu. The thing that you and Greg and a lot of others were worried about was, oh man, there's going to be fewer games that matter toward the postseason. And now we're sitting here talking about like Michigan, Illinois as a game that matters nationally. You're talking about games this weekend in the SEC and every single weekend in the SEC that teams with potentially 2 or 3 losses could make it. And the good news for you is that all the way through, it really has been what you're talking about. It has not been about who has the most wins or losses and only undefeated teams make it versus, 1-loss teams or 2-loss teams. It has been all the way through. We're going to take the 4 best teams. And so now there are some automatic qualifiers. There's the highest ranked group of 5 conference champion. There are the Power 4 conference champions. But after that, it's a whole bunch of teams that the committee gets to look at and go, all right, who do we think is the best? And that, for such a wide open playoff, makes this season just fascinating.
So I have changed my stance. I went into the college football season saying that they had it perfect. They did. The regular season was great. The regular season felt like a postseason, right? And then you had 4 teams make it to the actual postseason. But I stand corrected. This has been great because there are more big games. There are fascinating matchups. There are teams that don't normally play teams during the regular season. It doesn't have to be a bowl matchup. And so college football, they got it right. They really did. They got it right. And now, but here's what happens, and this is my concern. So 12 teams, great. We're all agreeing it's great. College football will get greedy and expand this thing out, and suddenly a 12-team playoff will be a 24-team playoff.
Well, I feel like I've already.
It's gonna happen.
We've already rehashed the 12-team playoff thing a number of times, but it is only week 8. We don't know what the playoff looks like yet. We don't know how much injuries are going to factor into this because teams are going to obviously be playing more and more games, and the season's going to get longer and longer. But I do think there probably could have been a middle ground where we went from 4 to 6 or 4 to 8 before we went from 4 to 12. But as far as the season goes, obviously I have no complaints. It's been a great college football season. There's been a lot of really good teams. I think that the 12-team playoff happening and coinciding with a lot of the big conference realignment moves has also kind of doubled the effect of the chaos this year because Oregon and Ohio State being a conference game and Texas and Georgia being a conference game, that wouldn't have been the case last year. Those teams aren't going to play each other during the regular season unless they scheduled a non-con 3 years ago. So I think there's a lot of different things happening at once with conference realignment and the playoff starting this year. And it just remains to be seen how much we love it in December and January, but I don't think people are going to...
It's going to be impossible not to love,
I don't think
Jess.
people are going to... That's what I'm saying. I don't think people are going to complain about home playoff games. If Oregon gets to host a playoff game, which obviously I think that would be a bummer for them at this point because they want the bye. But these are going to be some great playoff sites, great college football programs that are hosting playoffs at really iconic stadiums for the most part. So I think that's going to be something people really love. And I've looked at the scheduling, I'm going to be so locked in those 2 days of the first playoff weekend.
So much fun.
I'm just going to be sitting there and I'm not going to move for 12 hours and it's going to be awesome.
I can't wait. Izzy is moving right now. He is in the gym. He's taking a victory lap. Tony is up there with him. Izzy's on a treadmill. Tony, what's going on up there?
So, Stu, let me paint the picture for you. We're here at the beautiful Elser Gym overlooking the bay, overlooking everything, and Izzy is about to take his victory lap. Izzy is going to pick up the speed. We're obviously brought to you by Peloton. We're doing a Peloton app hit run right now. So, Izzy likes to do things a little bit harder than the average person. He's an athlete. He's a guy that, he's a guy that works out, a guy that likes to train. So, instead of just taking a regular victory lap around a couch or downstairs, he wants to do a hit workout, and he's going to answer questions if you guys have about Zach Edey. But I'm going to start here. Why did you and when did you know that Zach Edey wasn't going to be the player that everybody thought he was?
You guys thought I was sweaty before. Look, I thought Zach Edey, watching him in college, you can tell he's a big, plodding, big guy, doesn't really have the mobility. And when everybody started talking, everybody started talking about him as this new big man in the NBA, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, he must have lost a lot of weight. He must have trimmed down, but no, he's doing the exact same things I expected him to do out there on the floor, 5 dribbles for a post-up, like a hook shot from 12 feet. You're not going to get away with that during the regular season.
So my question to you is, did Taylor Jenkins look at Zach Edey and be like, this is the guy of the future, or maybe was that imposed on him from management?
I would say Taylor Jenkins is 40 years old. I'm 47. I've been around the league longer than Taylor Jenkins to the Memphis Grizzlies. Don't be fooled, my guy. It might work for a little bit. It might work for a little bit. It might work for a couple of preseason games, maybe even a big possession where they don't want to double. But, man, it's not going to work all season long. I would say by about game 30, he's off the bench barely playing.
We've got obviously people that protect. He's going, guys. He's at 10 speed right now. Rim protector. What do you think about rim protectors in this day and age, especially being that big like Zach Edey?
I figure out how much more I got to go. Rim protectors is I mean, you can be big, but you got to be mobile too. You got to be able to not foul, and you got to get from one side of the rim to the other side of the rim to be able to block stuff. I'd rather have Heat rookie Khalil Ware protecting the rim.
Now, Tony,
are we done yet?
Now, Tony, let me jump in here and remind people that this victory lap is brought to you by Peloton. Find your push, find your power with Peloton.
All right, so we finished the victory lap. It's slowing down here. Is it? I don't know. Hold on, I'm trying to. There we go. Izzy, how did you feel on the first victory lap here at the Elser Gym, doing a 10 speed? People don't realize how fast you were going because they didn't see your feet, but you were flying.
I'm not going to lie. I mentioned earlier I'm 47. I didn't really get a good warm-up. My Achilles was barking the whole time, but I feel pretty good now. And you know who else is 47? Tom Brady. I'd like to challenge him to a race.
All right.
Than he was,
good job.
All right, that is it for the victory
Have
lap.
to
Well
be the
done
beanie.
by you, Izzy.
Wow. That looked painful.
Right, Tony ran out of Zach Edey questions, I think.
We finally got one of Taylor's
Not
bits
so Edey
sponsored,
doing that
huh?
job.
No. But if Edey starts making threes, we'll call him 3D, right? I mean, is that fair?
3D.
3D. You
I
like
like
that?
that.
Yeah.
I do like
Zach
that.
3D. How about that?
Hey, how about that?
How about another basketball storyline for you, Stugotz,
Really?
that is interesting here? Not Miami Heat, so
Okay.
you can actually stay enthused about it.
We'll see.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yes.
Some people on the internet are saying that he basically created a new way of making a trade request without making a trade request.
Wow.
Go on, I'm intrigued.
I'm intrigued.
So he was asked, I guess, about, expectations for the season. The Bucks obviously have championship aspirations and, what it could be like if they don't win a championship. And the quote coming out of this article from Sam Amick in The Athletic, yeah, if we don't win a championship, I might get traded. This is the job we live. This is the world we're living in. It's everybody. At any given moment, if you don't succeed, that might be it for you. If you don't do a good enough job, you're out.
No name
Now,
is bigger than the
this
team.
I love
is
that.
genius
Yes.
of him because you're already sort of planting the seeds for, hey, if this doesn't all work out with me and Damian Lillard again this year, just a couple years left on my contract, hey, you know what? Management might want to trade me. I don't want out of Milwaukee, but they might want to get rid of me. And, I'm such a high value in this league. It would just be such a shame.
He's almost saying that he wouldn't blame management if he doesn't win a
That's exactly
championship
right.
this year if they wanted to trade him.
Which is genius because
Wow.
then if you can plant that seed early and then come back around in the offseason if it doesn't work out and be like, you know what, I think management would probably be wise to move me. And if they did, I'd be happy ending up in this city or that city or that city or that city. This to me is as well done as you could possibly do this before the season
So
of
good.
planting the seeds without actually asking out.
It is so good. I'm so jealous I haven't thought of it first. I mean, that is
amazing.
such a great move by Giannis. Who knows if they don't win a championship this year, it has nothing to do with him.
Correct.
And if they win, the only reason they'll win is because of him.
Correct.
Yes. But if I don't blame you. Trade me to the Knicks.
Right. And
I
the
love
Bucks
that.
would be in such a weird spot, too,
I know.
honestly, given the construction of their roster. It does make sense. What he's saying makes a lot of sense. But when you're a player with as much star quality as he has on the contract that he has, obviously the Bucks would want to retool around you, not move you. They're not going to end up with anybody like Giannis in Milwaukee. And so now, the Eastern Conference is going to be fascinating and up for grabs. So I think this is a interesting sort of storyline to monitor moving forward.
Is there a dominant team this year in the NBA? Is there, because
The Celtics are still supposed to. I mean, look,
I don't think anyone takes them seriously. Even while winning a championship, I don't think anyone takes the Celtics seriously in the NBA.
totally different response from NBA media and people in the NBA with this team getting over the hump and winning a championship as opposed to teams past, just like the Golden State Warriors, who like everyone was waiting and waiting and waiting, and then when they did it, we anointed them one of the greatest teams we've ever seen. This Celtics team did things statistically and in terms of dominance that even the Warriors didn't do, and they are literally the best team ever in terms of going 73-9. So the Celtics are supposed to run away with the East and be the best team in the league as the West beats up on each other, but creeping behind them, right? You've got the Sixers who made their move with Paul George, albeit, his injury in the preseason. You've got, the Bucks who we just mentioned, all these young teams getting better. I won't say the Miami Heat, despite the fact that I feel that way. There are all of these teams that are sort of creeping behind them. The Knicks getting more competitive, we think, that you never know what happens if the Celtics actually get tested and have to go 7 games against a team.
I'm just saying this, though. In NBA circles, it seems like the least respected championship team, one of them of all, it's like the Marlins winning the 2003 World Series.
Which is crazy
like,
because
no one
this
took
team
that
is
seriously.
loaded and coming back.
Yes.
And they have anointed young players. And by the way, should be respected. Like the Celtics, that team is unbelievable, was dominant, and was one of the best teams we've seen in the Eastern Conference this century.
Yes.
And yet, nationally, it's sort of not talked about that way. Obviously, like we had our talking points here that, we were going to go after Jason Tatum's numbers in the clutch and try to find our ways to talk ourselves into, hey, they're not going to win it, they're not going to win it, they're not going to win it. But once they did, you have to look back at it and acknowledge how great they are, and there's no reason they should be any worse this year.
Who is the least respected champion of all time?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think it's Trent Dilfer's Ravens, right?
No, but everybody agreed that defense was amazing.
Yes, but everyone wonders how they won with Trent Dilfer.
If Rex Grossman had won it with the Bears.
Ben Wallace Pistons.
Oh, that's a good one.
God, that team was so good.
They went back-to-back? Did they win 2?
They went to back-to-back.
They won one. They lost the second time around.
The Giants, the 2 Super Bowls with Eli Manning.
That's a good one. Wow. But when you beat the best team that's ever lived, don't you get a little bit of respect?
I don't know. I mean, I don't discount them, but I feel like people are always like, oh, the Giants, they stink. They've always stunk. And I'm like, what? You won 2 Super Bowls.
I would say if you beat Brady and Belichick twice, you're 2-0, and Super Bowls against them, that kind of neuters that a little bit. I would say the Giants Super Bowl with Jeff Hostetler is a team that no one really took that seriously, but the same kind of deal because that defense was so dominant and so good.
Those Marlins you mentioned, those 2003 Marlins might be a good example, right? Because from 97 to 2003, they win 2 championships in 6 or 7 seasons, and yet nobody took the franchise seriously whatsoever and knew that within a couple of years it would be totally disassembled.
Well, in 97, we took the first title seriously for a week until he traded everyone away. No one took 2003 seriously. Nobody took 2003 because that team was like, it was patched together.
The 1 year of
manager
Pudge.
fired. Here comes Jack McKeon, Trader Jack. He's 97 years old. He's going to make you laugh. And with his magic, he's going to win a World Series.
So all that being said, do you want a top 5 reasons to be optimistic about the Marlins
No,
next
I want to
season,
talk football with Mina Kimes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that would be fair.
We bring in the Southern Belle, Mina Kimes, host of the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny. You just did First Take, so is this Second Take, Mina? I think it is.
Stugotz.
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard that sound.
First Take. That's the sound I make when I hear First Take. Yeah, hot takes.
Second take.
Well,
second take.
Speaking of reheated takes, Tony had his top 5 earlier, and among the top 5, he mentioned 3 buzzsaws, Mina. 3 buzzsaws. His buzzsaws were, neither of the undefeated teams, it's the Ravens, the Lions, and the Texans. But the confusing part about all this is he made it sound like buzzsaws actually cut other saws. So do you know what a buzzsaw actually does?
I assume a buzzsaw is just electric saw, right? Like
I've got
a normal
it as a
saw, but
circular
it has
saw.
power, so it goes. I don't think it has to be a circular saw.
So it could be just any kind of power saw, electronic saw that cuts through other saws?
Buzzsaw is one of those great words, though, that we only use to describe NFL offenses in particular.
Thank you.
That
You're
are
right.
scary.
Yes.
Right? Like what have you ever heard someone say, Mina Kimes coming on, what a buzzsaw? Or
My neighbor
candidate is a real buzzsaw.
My neighbor's a real buzzsaw.
I think Jeremy has the final answer for what a buzzsaw does.
Another term for circular saw.
There we go.
That is the literal
Has to be
definition.
circular?
Yeah, that's
It does,
It
yes.
beats the only thing about it, apparently.
Shapists.
But Mina's right. We only say buzzsaw as it relates to football. Like, that's it. No one ever says buzzsaw, do they?
No, I think it's.
I'm going to go buy a buzzsaw today.
Nobody had like a
I don't think
high-scoring
that's
NBA
true.
team. Nobody
Yeah.
says buzzsaw.
I would say,
That
for
they're a
example,
buzzsaw.
like the elves walked into a buzzsaw with the Uruk
Ooh.
army and Rings of Power.
Ooh.
Interesting.
I want to think
know what
about
any of that
that.
means.
You call fighters buzzsaws. You can have a buzzsaw fighter.
Right. No, you're right. Like a college basketball team could be walking into a buzzsaw, you know?
You
Cameron
walk into
Indoor.
a buzzsaw.
Yeah, you walk
Cameron
into
Indoor.
one,
So
right?
disgusting if you actually really imagine what that would look like.
So, what do you
Right,
think
one
about
of
his
more.
3 circular saws: the Ravens, the Lions, and the Texans?
They're good. Tony's come a long way. Can I say that?
Yeah.
You know, I've followed you on your
victory
football
lap.
taking journey. I don't know when it really started, maybe a few years ago. And I like the fact that you're like looking outside of records and actually, I think that's a pretty good. Sorry, I realize I sound incredibly pedantic. I feel like this whole thing sounds so patronizing.
So pedantic.
I'm trying to compliment you and say
No,
that I
I
agree
hang
with
around
your take.
Pablo too much.
It's true. Oh, God knows that's true.
No,
Mina
but-
doesn't need to hang around Pablo. She's smarter than Pablo.
Well, that is true.
Wow. No, Mina, I feel it and I appreciate it. You've been on my football taking journey. You've helped me along the way. So yes, I credit
I can
it
tell
to-
you've been putting in the work.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
you-
everything about Tony is perfect. Everything about him is wonderful, and his top 5s are great, and his tiers are great, and
No,
we
but
should be praising
guys,
Tony.
Super
guys,
pedantic.
Okay,
guys,
wait. So
guys.
that's a picture of a buzzsaw. Why is there
Yeah.
blood on it? What are they doing
That's
with
so,
that saw?
so pedantic.
That's
that
what
song.
happens. You walk into a buzzsaw, you start bleeding. I mean,
It's a Ravens offense right there, Mina.
Is that blood or is it just a red saw?
It's like blood.
Raw.
I don't know. I saw it differently.
Mina, I'm disappointed because that's not a good take by Tony. If you really want to stand out, you and I have had these conversations before. What you need to do is do what I did a week ago and say the Bengals at 1-4, best team in the NFL going to the Super Bowl. That's the way
You
you
don't
do
believe
it.
that. You don't believe that.
I do believe that.
Let me ask you a question. Who of the 2 and 4 teams, who
like this.
do you think has a better chance of winning the Super Bowl, the Jets or the Bengals?
The Bengals.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
the stand by his take, Mina.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have
Bengals
to.
defense is really bad, Stu.
Yeah, I know, but once I make the take, you can't talk me off my position, Mina.
Have you ever been talked off of a position?
Never. No.
Not once.
I don't think so, no.
I mean, you see what LeBron James is currently doing. He's not even coming close to approaching Michael Jordan status. You can't talk him off of anything.
I love when my mind is changed. I know that I don't know if that sounds, I don't know, like self-congratulatory or whatever, but sometimes fans will come at me and say, wow, you were, super critical of Josh Allen in the draft, famously for me on this show. And I love the fact that he proved me wrong. I love watching him play football. I thought the Washington offensive line was going to tank this offense, and obviously I'm dead wrong about that, and I love it. I love watching Jaden Daniels cook. I know I feel like I'm kind of going what's his name, Hayden Christensen, in turning up against my mentor here. Stu was my Obi-Wan of takes. Really went to Hayden Christensen. It's the stupidest, weirdest metaphor possible. But I do feel like one of the greatest pleasures of talking about football has been when players change my mind.
Mina, which team got better this past week? Was it Buffalo or the Jets?
The Jets got better, but the Bills, I take more seriously because of it. The Jets were more desperate, I felt, right? Like they really, in part because that offense, is so dependent on having like a truly good skill players. It's based on timing. It's based on communication. Obviously, that's been off with Rodgers and the receivers. Some of that is Rodgers' fault. Some of it is the nature of the offense. But the only fix I saw was bringing in a Devontae Adams, and it's going to help a great deal. That said, the Bills are a better football team, and I loved the acquisition of Amari Cooper. I just didn't feel like they had as much of a gap that they had to close. So they improved less, but they're better.
So with Devontae Adams, is it just a familiarity thing with Aaron Rodgers? You said the nature of the system. And does that mean that Aaron isn't really as good as we think he is? It's just the receivers that are on the same page as him?
I think, especially at this point in his career where he's not as mobile and he's less likely to create, it is very important for Aaron Rodgers to trust his receivers. That ball is coming out fast. And that trust, what you're alluding to, it's something that is developed over many years. So some of it is, like when we talk about chemistry between a quarterback and receiver, much like human chemistry, it can be kind of hard to describe. But the way I would characterize it for Rodgers is knowing that his guy is going to be in the right place at the right time and then make a play. And that has just not been the case consistently, even with Garrett Wilson, who's an amazing receiver. He's so talented, but clearly it hasn't been there.
Mina, another part of my top 5, number 1 was actually it's over in Dallas. That was more of my Stugotz coaching tree. It was like, it's over. They don't have an identity. They can't run the ball. Their defense isn't good. Like, things are just off in Dallas, right?
And I think that would be fair.
Thank you.
I think that would be fair.
happened to
to
your
say,
accent?
I agree. I kind of softened it a little bit. I tried to do a light something. Yeah, you're right. I do think it's over. I mean, that run defense is just a non-starter. Even if the offense looked better, and they don't, and I think there's a multitude of reasons for that. You can't win in the NFL consistently if you can't defend the run. And in Dallas, there's no solutions on the horizon for them.
How big of a loss is Aidan Hutchinson for the Lions? Are they still contenders without their best defensive player?
They're still contenders. They need to make a move. And I think they will make a move. But it's a massive loss because not only because Aidan Hutchinson was having incredible season, Defensive Player of the Year stuff, led in both traditional and advanced metrics. He's really all they have at edge. They've been able to get pass rush on the interior. But like, for example, Hutchinson, before he got hurt, had 40 pressures. There's not another edge rusher on the Lions roster with more than 7. They lost Marcus Davenport, who they brought in. They are bereft there. I do think they're going to be aggressive because they are very aware this is their chance, not the only chance, but they have a great chance to contend because of that offense. So I think that they're going to be active.
Can the Raiders be sellers here? Can we see Max Crosby maybe moving over?
Ooh, wow.
I think they're sellers. They're obviously sellers, right? They moved Adams. I have a hard time seeing them move Crosby because he's really like the face of the franchise, right? Even when you look at not tanking teams, but really, really bad teams who are sellers, which is kind of a euphemism for tanking if you think about it. They don't move off of their core guy. Like if you drive around Vegas, he is the face of the marketing. The owner would have to sign off on that, even if it was for a massive package. And I would be very shocked if Mark Davis was willing to do that.
Mina, Chris, I hate you. You just said massive package out loud right as I was about to start
What
talking.
happened there? I mean, it's important.
Okay. Mina, I heard you yesterday say that you weren't sure why the Steelers were considering playing and starting Russell Wilson this weekend, given that he hasn't really been great in the last couple seasons. Yeah. And Chris.
That's on me. I was talking to Chris.
Come
there.
on, man.
Let
Chris is a shade of red that we love
Let
to
her
see.
talk.
And I agree.
Is this all because of massive package?
Yeah, it is. And pedantic. I agree with you that I don't understand the move. However, I also have watched a lot of the Steelers this year. I've watched every game, and Justin Fields really hasn't been great. How do you quantify the different levels between the two quarterbacks, because neither is a perfect option? I think Justin Fields obviously is able to move outside of the pocket a lot better and use his legs, which Russ isn't, and the Steelers O-line has a ton of injuries, but both probably aren't great, so I don't know what to make of this choice.
Yeah, there's no real good answers on the roster, to be honest. My take was less born of Justin Fields has proven himself and he deserves a job, and look at his record. It's more, I watched Russell Wilson play football in 2023, and I kind of feel like a lot of people did based on some of the takes I'm seeing floating around, because we always talk about how the best position in sports is like the backup quarterback, right? Because the fan base roots for you and they want you until you come in and they get upset with the starter. And I think that dynamic is at play here. The defense of this move that I've seen, or the argument in favor of it among Steelers fans, is that, well, it can't be worse. Yes, it can, guys. Like, I watched the Denver Broncos last year. It could absolutely be worse. I've seen like cherry picked in the red zone. He was better. No, I'm telling you, that offense was checking it down, taking sacks, occasionally cool deep shot. And maybe he can be better than he was last year, but that tends not to be what happens with older quarterbacks. And look, I don't think Fields has played particularly well, but I think what he brings in the QB run game, which, is not what Russell Wilson is capable of at this point in his career. Mike Tomlin said as much. For me, that's enough of a difference. For this move to be defensible, Wilson would have to be significantly better than who he was in 20. I'm not even talking about 22. I'm talking about 2023, and that just seems unlikely, but we'll see.
Mina, through 5 or 6 weeks here, is it crazy for me to say that Baker Mayfield is the NFL MVP?
Yeah.
Why?
The MVP? I thought you were going to say, like, good, and I was ready to
MVP.
say
No,
that stands for, right?
No one means more to his team than Baker Mayfield means to the Bucks. Maybe Crosby to the Raiders, maybe Spags to the Chiefs.
We have to be hyperbolic. We can't give a take that someone's good at. They have to be the greatest.
Guys, he's had a great year. I mean, come on.
He's back.
Sometimes I feel like, you know how like on those refrigerator word magnets games that you have like the words. Sometimes I feel like you look at a bunch of, like, you have like a bunch of players and some words, and then you just kind of at the last second throw up like player MVP.
Yes.
I can't. Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's
I take one word from Group A, one from Group B, one from Group C, and I stitch it all together on the fridge. Yes.
You should play a game where we do like a player, a verb, and an adjective, and then you make Stugotz defend the combination.
No, it's too easy.
No matter what it is.
It's too easy. That's a piece of cake for him.
It is. Yes.
Too easy? Okay,
Yeah.
Well, if you guys have the technology to do that, you should do it.
No chance.
He's not done more for his. He's played well. I was like excited to. Yeah, I'm on board with the idea that he's played well, but he's played well with Mike Evans and Chris Scott. Like he's not doing the most with the less. I mean, he's also not played as well as the likes of CJ Stroud, for example. I think has been better. Lamar Jackson has certainly been better. Just a couple players who come to mind. So I would not put him in that conversation.
All right.
I mean, I have to ask you a Travis Kelce question. Now, I haven't seen this myself, but I'm told in the latest season of Love is Blind, somebody said that he looked like Travis Kelce, which famously, or actually no, infamously, last year a woman said she looked like Megan Fox and just got dragged by the internet, probably still to this day. Does this gentleman look like Travis Kelce? Was this a Megan Fox situation?
So he didn't say that. He did say he looked like a less buff version of Henry Cavill, which is extremely not true, and it ended up blowing back on him when they met. The way it went down was when the man and the woman who do not look like Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift were in the pods, he was revealed that he played football. I think she said she was a cheerleader. And they were like, yeah, we could be like Travis and Taylor. And as the audience, you're watching this thinking, no, now they both have a incorrect assumption about what this is going to look like. The other important thing to note, Stu, is he did play football, but he was a kicker. And he looks like a kicker.
Yeah.
So no Travis Kelce. I was curious because I respect your TV recommendations. You've got me on my favorite comedian is now James Acaster because of you. And obviously you do the Love is Blind podcast. I don't know if you're still doing that. Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our newest episode just dropped. Yeah.
How good is this season? Do I need to watch? Because you told me yes the last couple of times, and I believed you, but I was on the edge. I was on the verge of quitting it last season.
I'm enjoying it. A lot of people aren't because there's a lot of really terrible people and terrible relationships. And I'm if you're listening to this and you're watching and you're not clued into the internet discourse, please don't get mad at me. Cover your ears because I'm about to talk about something. One of the couples that is successful, the man has 3 secret children and the internet, and it came out, and he has said that, I just donated. I was just a sperm donor to like my gay friends. And the internet sleuths have found multiple pictures and videos of him just with these children. So there's this kind of weird
I
story.
I heard they had matching jammies on. Can you confirm?
Matching jammies. Yeah. So you're watching, it's an interesting dynamic, right? When you watch reality TV now, where you watch what's happening on the screen, and then there's also this like subtext playing out off screen. And so you're watching this guy say to a woman, yeah, I don't know if they would recognize me if they saw me. And meanwhile, on Reddit, there's, like Jessica said, videos of him spending Christmas with these kids. So I think that dynamic has put a lot of people off.
That's insane, Mina. What city are these people in? Because I'd like to avoid it.
They're in D.C. It's been a
Something in the water over there.
Tough look for D.C., yeah.
Is there anything else, by the way, Chris has no idea who James Acaster is.
That was Joe Biden. I know who he is.
I'm sorry. But if anybody has not paid attention, James Acaster, hilarious. Go watch his repertoire. That's 4 straight stand-ups.
He's great.
He's great.
Folks, stop being pedantic.
Mina, is there anything else that you need to recommend on the streaming services that you're watching lately?
Oh gosh, yeah. We really liked the season of Bad Monkey. Are you guys watching that? I mean,
Yes.
it's
It was
Miami.
great.
Yes.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I liked that a lot. I thought that I know he's right. The guy who created is a friend of the show, right? So
Yes. Bill Lawrence.
I enjoyed that a lot. I thought it was very smooth. Also on Apple TV, Slow Horses is very good.
It's a lot of seasons of that one. It's a lot of catching up. I do have a Vince Vaughn question because I was watching that movie or that show, and it's based on, I think, a Carl Hyacin book, isn't he? A former Miami Herald guy?
Right, yeah.
And it feels like they wrote it, and then they cast Vince, and then they rewrote it for Vince because he can only play one character,
And
like
I think
one
that
personality.
would be fair. I problem is when I hear that voice, my own voice starts to mimic that voice
That's what we're
because
going
I'm
for.
like
Yep.
one of those parrots where if you just play a sound, I'll just talk in the voice of that sound. Yeah, I think he just kind of put his own sauce on it. Like you can tell when you're watching it, he's sort of improvising a little bit. I mean, some of his mannerisms, because he does that like rapid speech thing, right? And I feel like, God damn it, I'm doing it. I just did it.
feel like it'd be fair.
Bill Lawrence did come on the show and talk a little bit about Bad Monkey and said that with Vince Vaughn, he was like, he's one of the easiest guys to write for because you're writing the plot, but because he's ultimately going to do so much improvisation and nail it on so many different jokes, you get credit as the writer for the best jokes, whether you wrote them or not, which is awesome.
That voice. Do that voice.
Yeah, I need you to mock that voice for the rest of the show.
I'm not a trained monkey. I don't take commands.
Bad
Monkey.
Bad
oh
monkey.
no, I made the same joke as Jaron.
Aha! Victory!
Put myself
Even
in the
Mina
penalty
knows.
box.
God.
It's tough. Do you guys remember when we hired the accent coach?
Who?
I do remember that actually.
This is like deep pandemic, maybe.
That was a long time ago, yes. That was a Mike
Yeah,
Ryan production, right? He was like,
It was.
Mina's had so many accents because she lived in so many places. We're going to hire a dialect coach. I remember that.
This is how I spin the accent thing so that I look like less of a sociopath when people, because I don't want to be like the Brian Kelly of the NFL media. When people point out, Stu, you would like this. I say, well, I'm sorry I had to grow up in a lot of places because my dad was in the Air Force. Do you not respect the troops?
Wow. Oh,
Sorry
that's so
about that.
good, Mina. I'm so proud of you.
And if they don't say thank you for your service on the way out, you should give them another dirty look.
Sorry I didn't have the privilege of growing up in one place my entire life and having one coherent accent.
Got all the good daggers, the trigger words right there. I saw your face, by the way. We went to go do a victory lap here in the gym, and I saw your well, your face isn't giant, but it was projected giant. Your
It was on a
giant
big
face.
TV. is what
It was
he
on a
trying to
television,
say.
yes.
That's all he was trying to say, Mina. Big TV. That's it.
Was it?
I saw a giant
At the
television
gym?
with your
Giant
face on
package.
it. How's that?
While I was working out and staying svelte, I noticed your gigantic head. Continue.
And
Holy crap.
what is the one place that you've walked by the most embarrassed,
Oh, no,
other than
I
this
hate
moment
when
right
you guys
now,
do this.
by seeing yourself on a large projection?
Okay, so I've been at restaurants where I'm like one of my shows is on, and it's usually some of the shows are pre-taped, not NFL Live, but like Around the Horn. And it's not embarrassing
Yes.
when you're on TV while you're somewhere. In fact, it's kind of cool. It's embarrassing when someone notices you watching yourself on TV.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, television masturbation. Can we say that? I don't. Anyways, and I think that would be fair. It is embarrassing because then you feel like people think you watch yourself all the time.
Right.
And I
you
don't.
look like a narcissist.
I miss those days.
Mina, in your best Southern accent, because you're the natural person to do this, can you say, stay tuned, we've got Pitch Clock up next?
Stay tuned. We've got Pitch Clock up next.
Thank you.
Good.
That's the
Well
greatest
done.
tease I ever could have asked
So
for.
good.
Thank you, Mina.
Was that good?
Yeah,
That was great.
excellent.
Not
We
really.
couldn't ask for any more Southern.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that would be fair.
Welcome to the Pitch Clock. Here's the pitch. A two-part baseball segment combining a nostalgic baseball trivia game and an interview with an expert. This is the Pitch Clock.
The competition is increasing both in the MLB postseason and here on the Pitch Clock. Chris Cody is with me. Mike Schur is with me. We are about to play Taylor's trivia game. We'll have an expert joining us soon, but this is my focus at the moment because I am sick of losing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Mike Schur is here.
Yeah.
Taylor, what is our actual trivia game for this week?
The game today is 3 strikes and you're out. The lists in front of you are the 9 longest postseason hit streaks in baseball history.
Ooh.
So you have how
no.
many games, the team, and then the time frame that the hit streak lasted until.
This is spectacular.
This is impossible.
Yeah, this is really hard.
I don't know how we're going to do this. Chris Cody, you're on the clock.
I'm going to go 2020 through 2021, 16-game hit streak for Jose Altuve.
That's a strike.
Oh, my God.
Whoa.
That was what I was going to guess, too. Oh, boy. If it's not Jose Altuve. All right. I'm going to go all the way down to the Royals in 2015 and say Alex Gordon.
It was not Alex Gordon.
Damn.
You feeling good about this game so
This
far,
is
Taylor?
rough.
How you feeling
Yeah, I
so
do,
far about
actually.
this?
This is hard.
I'm like
Yeah,
the,
this is really difficult.
the old ESPN show, Stump the Schwab. I want to win.
Mike Schur, you're on the clock.
I mean, Manny Ramirez was the MVP in 04. I'm going to guess in the Red Sox is Manny Ramirez.
The Red Sox with the 17-game hit streak was Manny Ramirez.
Oh, it's so fun.
Great. Manny
All right.
Ramirez. All right, well,
I'm
so
gonna
Mike
win-
is
I'm
going
gonna
to
win
win.
with one.
Yeah, with one. And Mike is going to win. Chris, you're back up.
Talk to me with your eyes,
10
Taylor.
seconds.
I'm going to go with... What year did... Oh, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this.
Need a name.
You need a name. I'm going to give it to you right now, and that name is... Jermaine Dye.
Not Jermaine.
What? In 2000.
Royals. I don't know, man. I don't. This is stupid. I hate this game.
Okay, moving away from the game that Taylor is torturing us with, we have Adnan Virk of MLB Network with us again here on the Pitch Clock with some great baseball coming up today. 2 postseason games, the ALCS and the NLCS. Adnan, thank you for coming back. We're going to dive right into this because the Dodgers and Mets played last night, and the Dodgers absolutely blew out the Mets. Despite Shohei Ohtani moving to now 17 for his last 20 with runners in scoring position and being 0 for 22 in the postseason with nobody on base, a weird stat, I want to start in what seems like a weirder place, which is the gutsy performance of Dodgers pitcher Walker Buehler. Look, he hasn't been the same guy coming off Tommy John surgery for the second time. Against San Diego, he gave up 6 runs in the second inning of his start last night. Looked like we might be headed that way. Bases loaded in the second inning. Struck out back-to-back hitters, including Francisco Lindor. His 18 swings and misses in last night's game tied for the most in 4 innings of any start in his whole career, which I thought was spectacular. In the game against the Padres, they were 6 for 10 against him with 2 strikes. He had no strikeouts. Last night, Mets were 0 for 9 with 5 strikeouts. He's the first pitcher in MLB history to throw 90-plus pitches in a postseason start of 4 innings or less and not give up a run. There are all these crazy stats on Walker Buehler. How important was a moment like that last night for the Dodgers to see Buehler bounce back that way and to eat up 4 innings on the mound, to save a already fresh bullpen, to have the ability to come in today after a Yamamoto start, a guy who hasn't thrown 80 or more pitches since returning from injury?
I think it's absolutely critical, Jeremy. This guy is so powerful and so vital to the Dodgers' hopes. I've never been so happy to be so wrong because that's what the beauty of baseball is. Because I felt so confident. I said, oh, my God, the Dodgers, they aren't going to beat the Padres. They don't have enough pitching. And I looked to be right in the first 3 games. Clearly, I'm a prophet. Clearly, I know what I'm talking about, having covered and loved baseball for 35, 40 years. And then all of a sudden, the Padres couldn't score after a certain point. Teoscar Hernandez hits a grand slam, 6-5 on. The Padres completely shut down. And bullpen games, that's not going to work in the playoffs for Dave Roberts because the Dodgers bullpen isn't the Guardians. It isn't the Yankees. It's not as good as those guys. Not as good as the Royals bullpen. No, Dodgers bullpen is spectacular. Completely shutting them down. Wow, okay, they beat the Padres. But their pitching will be tested against the Mets because the Mets starting pitching has been bona fide when it comes to Severino and Minaya and Quintana. But lo and behold, in a game last night, couldn't be more wrong. Their pitching's been awesome. And Buehler last night was fantastic. 2-time Tommy John, he's able to have that kind of gutsy performance in the cold at Citi Field. And nothing better than that at bat against Francisco Lindor. Like critical spot, you got guys on. And for him to be able to go fastball, and then set up that great hook. I mean, that is an all-time great curveball by Walker Buehler.
What an unbelievable performance from him. And yeah, that 12-6 curveball working in the wind as the wind is blowing out. Just a guy who completely changed his pitch arsenal from one game to the next. It was so impressive. And the type of performance that you see from the guys who have mastered the craft. And speaking of mastering the craft, how about Kike Hernandez in the postseason? I want to call him Kike Pumpkins Hernandez because he really shows up in October when we don't think about him for the rest of the year. He has 15 career postseason home runs, which I believe puts him like 5th or 6th on the active list. A guy who is now hitting a homer every 13 at-bats in the postseason. During the regular season, that's every 29 at-bats, so just a completely different player. How incredible is what Kike Hernandez is doing, and how does it change the Dodgers when you can have guys like him and Tommy Edman contributing the way they are at the back of the lineup?
You're going Ohtani, Freeman, Betts, and you go, okay, well, if I can somehow neutralize MVP, we can win this game. But no, because the rest of the depth of this lineup comes through and they can hurt you as well. And you say, okay, where's my soft spot? Where can I, as a pitcher, take a deep breath, exhale, and go, okay, now I can loosen up? You can't. Because Kike is your number 9 hitter, and he's like Reggie Jackson come playoff time. Because Max Muncy had great at-bats last night, and he went deep. Because Teoscar Hernandez is a key part of that lineup as well. And you mentioned Edman, what a great pickup he's been for L.A. And that's really what you've seen here for Dave Roberts' team is the length in that lineup. You mentioned Kike and the 15 home runs. How about this? He's tied with Babe Ruth on the most postseason career home runs. Now, it's a little bit ridiculous because Kike's done it in 78 games. Babe did it in 41. How about a better comparable? Chipper Jones played 93 postseason games. Kike, 78. And yet Chipper, 13 postseason home runs. Kike with 15.
That is insane.
Right? Think about that. Chipper's got 15 more games.
That's
Hall of Famer.
crazy.
No. A-Rod, 76 games. Kike, 78. A-Rod, 13 playoff home runs. Kike, 15. And here's a good one for you. And Taylor will love this as a Yankee fan. Because you go, okay, well, compare him to the Yankees. Yogi Berra, 75 career postseason games. Kike's played 3 more, and Kike's got 3 more postseason home runs.
It's
when you're telling me you're at the same amount of home runs as Babe Ruth, more than Miguel Cabrera, Chipper Jones, Alex Rodriguez, and Yogi Berra, you're doing something special. Kike's been awesome.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to stick with the Astros in that window that you talked about, and I'm going to hope that I'm getting this Astro right. Was the Houston Astro Alex Bregman?
The Houston Astro was not Alex Bregman.
Oh,
that's a
Whoa, that's what I would have guessed.
Oh my God.
All right, Jermaine Dye retired in 09.
2 strikes for Chris and I. Mike, sure, if you get a second one in a row, there's a 0% chance any of us wins this game.
I mean, the Yankee 98 to 99
has to be right.
I'll guess Jeter.
That's what I was gonna say, but I was like, is he playing that?
It was Derek Jeter.
No! I hate my life. I was just like, I thought that was.
I don't know why you guys were guessing 2015 Royals when the late 90s.
Once he
Yankees
said
were right
Jermaine
there.
Dye, it was very clear he did not watch those Royal teams.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
For the audio-only audience, we have a 20-game hit streak from a Diamondback from 2017 to 2023, a 17-game hit streak from a Yankee from 1956 to 1958. We have the Astro 16-game hit streak 2020 to 2021, a Blue Jay 16-game hit streak 91 to 93, a Royal 15-game hit streak 2015, a Brave 15-game hit streak 95 to 96, and then an A 15-game hit streak 89 to 90.
Why did I not think that Jeter played yet that in the late 90s?
I mean, that was his whole run.
I know. I just had a moment.
I knew.
Oh my God! I know the Diamondback.
Oh, I hate you. How?
Chris Cody.
I'm up.
Yep.
How am I up? I just did
just got it.
Diamondback, Starling Marte.
Not Starling.
Was he ever a Diamondback?
I believe he was.
Thinking about Ketel Marte?
Maybe.
Jeremy, you're on the clock.
Yeah, I'm like annoyed at the Diamondback.
I just wanted to get it before Mike Sure. I know that wasn't
Can I
it,
be? I'm gonna go with the Toronto Blue Jay 1991 to 1993. Was it Joe Carter?
It wasn't Joe Carter.
It was not.
Wasn't?
It was not Joe Carter. That's you and Chris Cody striking out on 3 pitches.
Well, but let's move over to the Cleveland Guardians and New York Yankees, because the Yankees have really dominated thus far. And it's in large part thanks to their bullpen. Something that, in July, in August, seemed like a giant question mark for the Yankees. And yet, a .77 ERA, for this bullpen in the postseason. Adnan, how does something like this happen, and how sustainable is it for the Yankees as they try to not only win the series against Cleveland, but then potentially go up against, the Dodgers or the Mets, as we just spoke about?
Yeah, I do think at some point, Jeremy, you need to get a little more length from your starting pitching. But you know what? In a short span, I do think it's sustainable, especially when you only have 2 more wins against Cleveland to get back their first World Series since 2009. And then it's a week and a half stretch in the World Series, you can do it. You can ride that bullpen as strongly as you can. I think in a longer series, the more that obviously hitters get to see relievers, you start to gain an advantage. You saw that with Rivera and the Red Sox. So many times they would see Mo, and eventually they could figure things out as best they could against that cutter. As for the Yankees, Garrett Cole, listen, he couldn't even go 5 innings, and they win that game. That shows you how good the Yankees are right now, particularly that bullpen. Weaver's been an incredible story. Nobody can stop Weaver. Now, Ramirez did hit that home run off him in garbage time, so maybe that helps their confidence a little bit, but he's a baby-faced assassin, and Aaron Boone is using him the way Joe Torre would use Mariano Rivera. Like, if it's a 5-out save, he's going to Weaver without question. And here's the other part that's fascinating is that Clay Holmes has been awesome. Like, even though he gets moved out of that spot, you think, okay, going to hurt his feelings a little bit. No. When you look at all-time players in terms of scoreless inning stretches to begin their career, he's at 14 2/3 innings. Like, Clay Holmes has been awesome in the playoffs. So they're mixing and matching as best they can. And so far, there's been no answer from that Cleveland offense, which has been rather feeble so far.
You got to give Aaron Boone some credit for the way that he's handled it. And maybe Luke Weaver, as a guy that was a starter, is a little more comfortable with those 5-out saves, being able to get up and down, not as locked in to being a guy that just comes in for one clean inning. But Adnan, that said, what do the Guardians have to do starting this afternoon with Matthew Boyd on the mound to be able to make this a series with the Yankees?
Yeah, under the current 2-3-2 format, teams that win the first 2 at home have won the series 80% of the time, 44-55. But Arizona just a year ago, the main thing for me is, again, their starting pitching. Their starters so far, Cobb and Bybee, have combined to allow 6 runs and 14 base runners in 4 combined games so far. They've got to get some length to other pitchers. Their bullpen's covered more than 60% of the club's total innings. Now, he faced the Yankees back on August 20th in the Bronx, gave up consecutive home runs to Soto and Judge in the first inning, gave up 3 over 5 in the third, but he's got to work at least into the 5th. Like, a 5 and dive would be great if he could give them a few innings and kind of ease that bullpen a little bit and hope that offense steps up. Stephen Kwan's hitting .440 during a 12-game postseason hitting streak going back to 2022, but their catchers are giving them nothing. Bo Naylor 0 for 15, Austin Hedges 0 for 9. They're hitless in 23 combined at-bats in the postseason, 9 strikeouts. Those guys have to wake up. Along with Jose Ramirez, they've done a great job of neutralizing him so far.
It's been really impressive to see what the Yankees have been able to do. The Guardians need to get something from Matthew on the mound today, or they'll be saying, "Oh, Boyd." Huh?
Oh,
you like that one?
But,
Even you didn't like that one. Even you didn't like that one. If Adnan's not going for it, nobody's going for it. Adnan Burke, thank you so much for joining me today. Hey, if we're talking to you next week, it'll be to preview the World Series that starts next Friday. Cannot wait for this. It's been incredible postseason baseball. Let's head back to our trivia game and see the final results of this torture that, Taylor's putting us through.
I think I know who the Diamondback is.
All right, you want to give us the guess?
But I actually have a better.
You just desperately want to go 3 for 3 and show off because you already win. So you could just guess everybody, Mike, if you'd prefer.
I think the 89 to 90A is Ricky.
It is Ricky Henderson.
Tony's favorite player, Ricky Henderson.
I think Marte is the Diamondback.
It was Ketel Marte.
No way!
Yeah.
So I was half credit?
Jeremy said it, and I was like, I don't know why he's not guessing that.
That's a foul tip into the catcher's mitt. So it's still a strikeout, but you should feel good about the fact that you made contact.
I do.
I would have guessed Bregman for the Astro.
George Springer for the Astros.
It wasn't George Springer.
It's Yordan Alvarez?
Wasn't Yordan
So it's
Alvarez.
Carlos Correa.
Wasn't Carlos
Are you
Correa.
kidding me?
So it was Bregman, what he just said.
It wasn't Bregman.
Who else was on that team?
Those are 5 guys that were great that we just
named.
named.
I saw that.
It was Michael Brantley.
Oh,
fun.
Lord.
Oh, my God.
Michael
You feel good about that? You feel good about
I
that?
hate you for this.
Is the Royal Hosmer?
Alcides Escobar.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
Escobar.
Alcides Escobar hit in 15 straight postseasons.
That's crazy.
This game is just, hey, think back to random playoffs, and who was the hottest hitter on that team?
1956
for that 2-week stretch.
to 1958 is it Mickey Mantle?
It was Hank Bauer.
I'm
going
to kill you.
56.
I can't believe this.
When did Ruth play? Because I almost guessed
Blue
him.
Jay
Bauer.
Way before that, right? 20s?
The 20s, late 20s.
The Blue Jay in 91 and 93 with the 16-game hit streak. Pat Borders.
I've never heard of Pat Borders.
I want to punch you in the face.
I'm so upset with you.
And then the final name from the list was the Brave in 95, 96. Marquise Grissom.
Oh, fun.
Wow.
You said this name when you came on today, Mike.
I did. I said Marquise Grissom. That's a joke.
Hold on, let me hear.
Mike,
Okay, so wait. So
I'm here. What am I doing? Marquise Grissom. Gorman Thomas.
This is by far the most random list of players we've had thus far on the pitch clock.
feel
This
like-
is a ridiculous
I
game,
feel like
Taylor.
I undid all my good trivia work from the previous couple months, like with today's performance.
I like that.
Again, how did none of you take Derek Jeter from 98 to 99? How did you leave that for me?
Sometimes we get too cute.
I almost said Scott Brocious.
Mike, thank you so much for joining us
Where's my
on today's
camera?
pitch clock. I guess. Thanks. I guess.
Hank Bauer.
What a pitch clock. Good job.
Wow.
Jeremy, I didn't hear about Walker Buehler.
job.
Yeah, you did.
Great. Just great.
You did hear about Walker
No, but
Buehler.
not last night's Walker Buehler.
The worst
I heard
game,
about
though.
other Walker Buehler, but I didn't hear about this one. Command on his two-seam was incredible. His slider and cutter was moving like 4 inches
this
off.
guy.
It was crazy.
The worst trivia
Watching
game
baseball.
Taylor's ever put together.
Oh my God, it was a nightmare.
Yeah,
If you ask Walker Buehler, it was probably moving 6 inches.
Seven,
So that was
probably.
a great,
Massive.
that was
Massive package.
massive slider.
great pitch clock. And throughout it, I was wondering to myself why this Halloween stuff was sticking to my phone and my jacket. It is starting to get everywhere, Jess.
I told you so.
Yeah, the little wisps, they do connect to things, and then you have to kind of pull them off, and then they get stuck to you, and then you have to do this with your fingers. But I
Is it
still
worth
like
it?
It's spooky. And I did also notice that when I walked outside, those low-hanging candles that you guys were talking about, they're low enough to hit me in the head.
Whoa.
So,
It's a danger, I believe. They're candles, you said. Did your hair catch fire?
no, I'm safe, thankfully.
Do you live in a condo, though? You don't live in a house, so you don't have, like, outdoor decorations. You have
No,
the
and
indoor.
You said
house.
too much already.
Oh, wow, I'm sorry. You live between four walls.
I don't have a yard. I can't put up a 12-foot skeleton. It's bullshit.
But
She
do
lives
you-
in Boca.
Do you do the indoor
Yeah,
decorations,
of course.
though?
I have my little gourds, my little pumpkins, my little string of garland, but that's really it. I don't know.
Have you
I can't-
half-assed it this year?
What?
Have you half-assed it this year? Like, was it better in other years?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because I want to have all these decorations, but then you need somewhere to put them in the off season, and I just don't have the space for crates full of Halloween decorations. And I'm not gonna buy decorations and then throw them away because that's a huge waste.
Plus, then you need Thanksgiving decorations and Christmas decorations
right?
and then summer
I've
decorations.
never had a Christmas tree before.
You know what I've always
what?
wondered is why we can't. Wait, you've never had a Christmas tree?
I mean, when I was a kid, but not since I moved out of my parents' house.
So, like last year, you didn't have a Christmas tree?
No, I had a tiny tinsel thing, but I
I'm sorry. So you have not experienced true joy.
I don't have anywhere to put it.
Oh, there's plenty. I mean, look, if you
move
have
space.
4 walls, I don't want to say where. You live in Florida. If you have 4 walls, you can fit a Christmas tree in there.
Amen.
And part of the whole appeal. Actually, is the reason Christmas is at the end of the year. I know it's somebody's birthday, but it's because at the end of the year, you get to celebrate the entire year. And all of that, to me, is about putting up Christmas decorations. I've got a 3-minute video of one year where I did these Christmas decorations. They were off the charts. And if you haven't done that yet, maybe that's why you don't like Miami very much. You haven't experienced Christmas yet.
I never said I don't like Miami very much.
Sorry.
I don't like not being
You haven't
spooked.
had to say it.
You complain about the weather.
Hey,
I
I'm
guess,
still
is the
here,
only
all
thing.
right?
That is true.
Yeah, that is true.
4 years and counting.
Point.
You're still here, but the heat index is too high for you. But okay, can we do this together
I
then?
just want it to be spookier, all right? And we finally made it spooky in here, and everyone's complaining, including me.
No,
5
she's
minutes
good.
ago.
All right, we're good.
We can do scary Christmas. Like, this is the thing about Christmas.
Like
There's
Nightmare
all
Before
kinds
Christmas?
of options.
Krampus?
Yes. You can do a spooky Christmas. I'm actually
Nobody
considering...
does a spooky Christmas.
Everybody does a
Tim
spooky
Burton
Christmas.
did do
Everybody?
it that one time.
Yeah, my ex-mother-in-law loves the spooky
It's
Christmas.
an odd person to
I
call
know,
out.
it's random. I was thinking of doing this
that's why
year
she's
an
next.
upside-down Christmas tree.
Is that the
where
deal
you-
breaker? You're like, spooky Christmas? You're gone.
We're done, no.
Too much for me.
But have you ever thought about
How do you
doing
do
it
that,
upside?
though? You, like,
just
drill
sort
it
of,
up into the
Yeah,
ceiling?
you drill it into the ceiling, and it's just a hanging Christmas tree. And
Where do you put the presents?
My
I have a
landlord
rule
would
about
love
drilling
that.
into the ceiling. I'm dealing in one of my bathrooms with one of these, you guys ever deal with this where it's like, something's going on up there.
stains?
Like a
yeah.
little brown
bathroom?
stain?
I have a stain right now. I'm like, it's, like my wife
have a
goes,
leak in the roof.
And this is me and my wife's like solving the problem. She goes, touch it. Is it soft? And I did. And it wasn't that soft. I'm like,
No.
we got a little time.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
a little time.
I told you
Wow.
the story of my ceiling collapsing in the bathroom. That
Yes. It
I
scares me now every time I walk by that.
It was
thing in my bathroom.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Take
see
a
if it's
picture
growing?
of it. Exactly.
I'm
Take
gonna
a
have
picture of it.
The same handyman that helped me a few weeks ago with my toilet.
Adonis.
I'm gonna bring him on over and hey Adonis, can you take a look at that thing for me, buddy? Thank you.
All he's got to do is paint it a little bit, and then you won't see the brown.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what you're not supposed to do because
Yeah.
that's when the ceiling will collapse in on you. Am I right, Roy?
That is correct.
You seem to know things about
Damn
the
you.
house.
I know a little bit.
You change doorknobs and whatnot.
That's right.
I've got a spot above in the ceiling of the guest bathroom, and I just look at it, and I don't even touch it, Chris. I just look at it, and I say, yeah, that's about the same size it was last time. Hasn't gotten any darker.
Eyeball it.
100% how to handle it.
Of course.
It dried up.
Because the other
Bunch of
option,
homeowners
and
in here.
thank you.
Owners.
The other option here, and this is
A renter.
Speaking of homeowners, this is something that sort of it's at my core here. It just really bugs me. Speaking to neighbors, like man,
The worst.
I don't want to have
Oh,
to do that.
Oh, God.
Like our upstairs neighbors are the ones who are responsible for any sort of leak if it's coming down. And so the first time I knocked on her door and I was like, you got a leak in your bathroom, and she's like, okay, let me see. And I'm like, what? You want to come into my house? And so she comes in and she looks at it and she's like, okay, I fix. And she goes back upstairs. And I love this lady, very lovely woman. I don't want to tell her, oh, you didn't do a good enough job. You got to fix it again. And right now, our communications are just hello, goodbye, have a nice day. That's it. I don't want to get into any deeper conversations. Like there was a guy who moved in across the hall 6 months ago. I have no idea who he is. Have still not met the man. Am I the only person in the world afraid to speak to their neighbors?
Don't you have a condo association?
Yeah, those people are crazy.
You can tell by the way I say hello to someone if like we don't talk a lot. I just have like hello.
You do
Hello.
a silly voice if you
Hey,
don't
Greg.
know them.
You do that on Zooms too.
Hey, what's up, Greg?
Like Flounder on Animal House. Hello.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That's a whole nother. If you find a Facebook group of the homeowners association,
That sounds
That
scary.
might be the craziest people in the world. We had one guy, and I'm not telling you where I live. It's somewhere in the United States. We had this one
Boca.
guy who is just flat out threatening people now that he's on the board. You're going to see what happens now that are real. I'm just like, this is unbelievable. It's why I'm not on Facebook, but good Lord, keep me away from homeowners associations.